And here we go.
In 5, 4, 3.
Call to me, lands far away.
Elves have forests to protect.
We need to build a wall.
Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain. But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel.
No.
Put up your sword.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
Nothing is over! Nothing! You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
Everyone!
I am sorry, but their time has come.
The past is with us all. The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Away I must wander this wandering day.
To him finally being lionized in the prime and his prime. Fuck.
Do it!
Shit.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams change. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Luke went from being... Oh, no. Welcome, Slayer Nation. I have some great news for you today. I hope you're all doing great. Nope, that didn't work. One more.
You have failed me for the last time.
Welcome, Slayer Nation. I hope...
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
That is eating away at what you love in order for it to shine. And one man's vision is... Sometimes you don't have to make things better for them to be great again. You merely have to Okay. Hollywood continues to slow boil the culture and crazy. Well, right now, Spider-Man actor Andrew Garfield has stepped up and he's fighting motherfucker.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
And unbearded dwarves, but Prime didn't stop there. They stapled in intersectionality, individuality, biddiga-dig-bee, biddiga-dig-boo.
So it begins.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, George the Giant Slayer.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Slayer Nation. I'm your host, George Molo, and this is March 9, 2025, in the year of our Lord. How are you doing? We just got a cold snap in Texas, and I like it. Got the sweater on. It's nice. I like things a little bit of frosty. I bloody hate the heat. We got a lot of news this week. But before that, I always just love seeing you all. Please, everybody, go thank Fletcher Williams. He's in the back producing. We got Air K, King of the Mods here, Lord Falth. Hopefully Olaf will join us too. That's like the three amigos, or the three musketeers, or the four musketeers. They're just beautiful human beings. Thank you for being here. Nick the Greek Yasu, Jeremy Winfield, how you doing? The Blue Dot, Mr. Brown's Alliance, hail to you. Hello, Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast joins us, and he's already going at it with Eric K. This is going to be fun to watch. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure, Kaladin, Frank Herbert, Lars, Toxic Waltz, all of you beautiful people. How y'all doing? You know, we got Disney's Snow White is being mocked. Of course, it deserves it because, well, we'll get into that. But you already know it's Rachel Ziegler. Then you got Jill Powers, the River Daughters. How you doing? Good to see you. We also have Keanu Reeves. He had good news. Thunderbolts hopes not to have bad news. Daredevil Born Again is back again. And we have someone tried to take a gun to the White House and then got shot. Plus, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ocasio herself, just got knocked off the list as the dumbest member of Congress by Jasmine Crockett. Unfortunately, she represents Texas. And we're going to talk a little bit about the possibility of Christopher Nolan doing James Bond. Hey, Kaladin, Jeremy Winfield, good to see you too. Plus, the UK is falling. We're going to get into that. All right. Are you ready to fight the good fight? Let me see those swords in the chat that you are ready to go to whip out those flamethrowers, tell the truth, and scorch the stupid. So let's get them out here. Amazing panel of guests. We got my very good friend who I've missed for a long time, Matthew Marsden, Verbal Riot, DA, the Angry Badger, and Tom from Midnight's Edge, Midnight's Edge After Dark, and Little Platoon is going to join us very soon. Matthew, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. You enjoying this cold snap?
No. You know, it's funny because I just want to say hi to everyone else on the panel and everyone who's joining us live as well. After living in a very grey England for a long time, I kind of got spoilt by the California sun, that every day you go out and it's like, it's the same. It's beautiful weather, sunny, everything's perfect. But then there was the communism, so what can you do?
Communism, cold. I see the problem there. Also, belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I'm an old man. I can't get, you know, it's funny because I'm sure the guys on here, oh, maybe not, but the guys on here will relate to this. I've got a pinched nerve in my neck and I went to the doctors and they were like, so how did you do it? Was it an accident? I was like, I got out of bed.
Yep.
And that was about it, right?
Yeah, they're like, did you fall down the stairs? Did you do this? No, I was tying my shoe.
You had to tell them, you know what, when I was making Black Hawk Down, I was repelling. And, you know, it's just like ever since then, I got this battle.
Yeah, I pretended to be a soldier once, and that's where all my ailments are from.
No, it's that happened to me last year. It was the very first time. It's right after I hit
what happened? I called Rambo a pussy.
It's right. It's literally right after I had my birthday. I was working out and it was great. I put the weights away. I don't know. I put one down in the wrong way. And it was like, okay, I can't move. There's something. Yeah. As the doc looks at you like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Anyway,
we all feel young in our brains, right? We're all like, yeah, I can still do that. And I don't know if you've seen that little clip they do on, there's one on Instagram. I think it's like the way you jump off a ledge when you're like, when you're a teenager, you jump down. Like when you're in your 20s, you kind of go up and then you jump down. And then when you're in your like 40s, you kind of like scoot down. And then in your 50s, you're like, I'm going to sit, then I'm going to slide off and turn around. And you're like,
in your 50s, you're like, fuck that. I'm going home.
Yeah, that's it. You're like, do I really need to be down there? It's
I mean,
true,
you would think we'd be that smart, right? Because last week I helped a friend move, and she has a lot of hot, chick friends. So I'm sitting there with my 50-year-old ass, lifting these crazy boxes, right? Lifting all her heavy shit, because a single woman has to have a whole household of shit, right?
I have never understood that at all.
They can't just throw nothing
Why
away.
do
They
they have so much
everything in
shit,
boxes.
man?
So I'm sitting there lifting these boxes, doing this stuff, and I'm in decent shape for a guy my age, but I'm still a guy my age, right? So I'm trying to look in front of these women, man, and I tell you, as soon as I got home, I felt like I was literally paralyzed. Like I couldn't even move. Like I had ice packs all over my body. I'm like, you know what, man? I just don't have it in me anymore. I can't do it.
I know what that means. That's when I started to work out last year. I mean, because I'm still trying to get into shape. But I was lifting boxes. I was lifting boxes for a girlfriend. And I went to pick one up and I was like, what? I struggled for a second. I'm not showing her, but it just dawned on me. It had been a while since I lift boxes. And I just remember lifting them up, like they were nothing, just, throwing them around. And after that, I started doing push-ups every day. I started doing weight training. I am now up to 50 push-ups a day. I am up to 50. I haven't finished the body, but I got up to 50. But the thing is I remember I was like, George, if you drop this box or you shake, you're going to look like the world's biggest pussy. You just can't. And in front of a girl, it's especially in front of the girl. You want to be like, yeah, I got it. I can just toss it around. And inside of me, I was like, Jesus Christ, can I keep this up? Anyway.
Believe me, if all those chicks weren't there, I probably would have left. But I was like, damn it.
This is why I say, yeah, we can help. Here's my 18-year-old son.
There you go.
He will go and help.
Bastards. You have built-in labor, man.
Yeah. I call them my minions. I was like, minions, get out there and do that.
That's what they're for.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, they got to learn how to work, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. The old man pays for everything, so they can pick up the slack, right?
Oh wow! But one thing, I'm glad you're here, Matthew. I've been watching the news across the pond, and we always cover a little bit of news before we get into Hollywood first. And so I couldn't believe this actually happened. I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but I was listening to this the other day.
And lastly, turning to the new sentencing guidelines that's been published alongside this statement, which will make a custodial sentence less likely for, and I quote, ethnic minorities, cultural minorities, and faith minority communities. Why is the Justice Secretary enshrining this double standard, this two-tier approach to sentencing? This is an inversion of the rule of law. We on this side of the House believe in equality under the law. Why doesn't she?
I was stunned, Matthew, at the fact that there's articles that says that minority and trans criminals could now avoid jail under the new rules.
Yeah, I mean, it's
completely.
It's unbelievable what's going on over there. I mean, that is like literally the definition of racism, right? It's like, you get off because of X, Y, Z. And the funny thing is, listen, the fact is that the minority religion in the UK right now is Christianity, right? Like, because people might identify, they might say, well, I've got kind of like Christian values. But the truth is it's a secular society, and the only religious people over there are Muslims. So when they're saying a religious minority, you may as well just come out and say it's Islam.
Right.
Because they don't mean Jews, and they don't mean Christians, right? And they don't mean Hindus, right? They specifically mean Muslims. And as I've said before, George, this causes a massive problem even within the Muslim community, because if you've been watching what's going on over in Syria right now, the number one killer of Muslims is other Muslims, right? So it doesn't help their community when there's any violence or whatever, or criminality within that community, because the same people know they're going to get off, right? And it's if it was isolated, it would be one thing, but it's a whole host of things that's going on in the UK. They'll deny. It's kind of like the COVID thing. Like, they deny that it ever happened with the memes. Like, you put something out there or retweet someone or repost someone, and then you go into jail. And now everyone's going, that never happened. You're like, well, yes, it did, right? Yes, it did. And I think part of the issue is and I've said this over and over and over again. I've said it for years, and of course you get the same thing. You're racist. I'm like, well, firstly, Islam isn't a race, right? So I don't understand how I could be racist by bringing this up. But if you do not identify an enemy, then you can't fight that enemy, okay? And if the enemy is radical Islam, for example, right, which it is in their communities as well, then if you don't identify it as such, then what you're doing is you're lumping the whole group of people in together, right? And that is very, very dangerous. But they're doing this. You're seeing it yesterday. And here's the other thing. I mean, whatever you think about what's going on in other places around the world, but people use the word legend and hero like way too flippantly now. You climb Big Ben and now you're like a legend and you're a hero. And I'm like, no, actually, Audie Murphy is a hero. Audie Murphy jumped on the top of a tank, and, a burning tank, and fought a bunch of people off. But the UK is most definitely a tyrannical government now.
But they ripped the mask off. They completely ripped the mask off. There's no hiding it anymore. I mean, you had Enoch Brown in Ireland, right?
This is horrendous what happened to him.
He got 500. He spent 500 days in prison because he refused to use pronouns, and now they're trying to strip him of his salary and his pension.
Wow.
Here at the High Courts this morning again before Mr. Justice David Nolan, who's continuing in his quest to strip Enoch Burke of his assets, of his
Enoch
salary,
Burke, not Brown, sorry.
because of his refusal to accept the denial of his constitutional rights. And we have Mr. Brian Kennedy, Senior Counsel, here in for the Attorney General, Rossa Fanning. Long discussions this morning about how best to strip Enoch Burke's salary from him. A lot of technical information about employees in the Department of Education, how they're going to have to swear affidavits and get the machinery in place.
And the country
yes.
falling to pieces.
Yes.
Drugs, crime, murder, out of control. And we've spent almost, is it an hour or more in there?
About an hour or more in there.
Discussing how they can strip Enoch Burke of every right he has because he won't accept transgender ideology.
Yes.
It's just like
California's not so bad, huh? Little communism, but great weather.
Give me California, right?
Lizard person governor, but
you know they don't sound there. That actually he was imprisoned, I think, for 100 days as well because he's a teacher and he wouldn't say transgender. He wouldn't. I don't know if he wouldn't teach it or wouldn't say.
He wouldn't use pronouns.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it, which is crazy because the funny thing is, when they're talking about the difference between these religious minorities, well, I hate to tell you, there's one group that absolutely does not accept that other group. So it's going to end up being, a clash of civilizations for one. And I don't know where it's coming from. I think that if you're looking at what happened in the US, right, and USAID and all the money that they were putting throughout that to basically interfere in other countries' businesses, right? Like you saw it, there was some kind of play that went on in Ireland that they were funding. They were funding $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq.
Pushing soft democracy anywhere that it would be illegal for our actual government agencies to do it.
Right, like soft democracy, right? And just being up to nefarious things. This has been with Elon uncovering it. I really do think that with Doge uncovering it, there's a lot of people obviously are very, very worried right now. They're panicked because they've been siphoning money here, there, and everywhere. And I think it's causing the recipients of that money and the people that were pushing those ideologies in foreign countries to behave more and more tyrannical, right? Because they want to just get on top of it, right? They want to like clamp it down. And you're seeing it in, especially with the news in the UK. The news is horrendous in the UK. Like the coverage of Trump last week and the Zelensky thing was staggering. Like they did not show full piece. They didn't show the full piece at all. They just showed Trump come in and they were like, look at this. They said that JD Vance said that it was, that he said UK. He never mentioned the UK. I think that you'd be an idiot if you thought that JD Vance, who was a Marine or is a Marine, because you're always a Marine, right? If you're a Marine, that you wouldn't know that the UK has been standing shoulder to shoulder with America for the past 25 years. The whole thing is very, very, very concerning. And that's why I love the reaction right now of the EU. Sorry to go on about this. I love the reaction of the EU because they're like, well, we'll go and fund our own stuff. And we're like, thank you. Great. Like, that's what we want you to do. Like, off you go. But it is
pop off.
It is worrying. It's really worrying. The stabbings are going through the roof. They're letting people off lightly, especially, I'm not going to say it because if we're on YouTube, I don't want to say it, but, you know, certain kind of gangs, they're letting get off very lightly. There will be, with that, mark my words, there will be running battles in the streets of the United Kingdom. And I think that'll be sooner rather than later.
You say when they take away the guns, they just start using knives.
Yeah, who would have thought that, Badger? Come on. And when they take
those
away
knives away,
you got cars, bats. It's
harsh words, misgendering people. I've heard it's all the same.
But DA, funny enough, y'all were saying when we were talking about the UK, he had said, well, we got California. Well, now you have the producer of Entourage has a few complaints about California.
I'm sitting outside Best Buy. I just exchanged my Aura ring that I bought in Arizona because I wanted a different color. It costs $7 more here in tax than it cost me in Arizona. So I had to pay $7 to change the color here. And I mean, I know you like forget, you know, because we have the weather here and because it's one of the most beautiful places on earth, that they can just keep fucking us and take our money everywhere. Charge us higher income tax, state tax, property tax. These piece of shits in LA add random illegal taxes on our houses when we sell them. Even if you sell them at a loss, by the way, you still have to pay it. You can't get a cop when you need it. My house was robbed, as you may or may not know. Can't get fire department around because there are not enough people working. So the city burns to the ground and we still have to keep paying for it. We just have to stand here and go, yeah, we're willing to do whatever it takes because this is the greatest place in the world. But who gave them the control to decide that we have to pay for all this shit, but we don't get anything out of it? They've wasted $800 billion, I think, which they can't even explain where it is, on homelessness, which just keeps getting worse here. And horrible situation. We need to solve it, but they're not solving it. They're doing nothing, and nothing good is happening. And again, I'm not even trying to be political. I'm just like, I have 3 kids, trying to support them, trying to make sure their lives are good, trying to make sure I can keep them safe, happy, healthy, and, you know, also provide a little financial boost for them. But they take everything we get. $7 more for this fucking ring than it cost in Arizona, which, think about how much that is for everything I buy here. Every piece of food, buy a car, buy anything, gas. It's just, we're being robbed. And
I think it pretty much sums it up.
Yep. That's California in a nutshell. Everything costs more expensive. All you get is the weather. You know, that's it. The only benefit here is the weather. And maybe hot chicks.
And the answer is we did.
Crazy chicks, though. They're crazy.
Yeah, and they a little crazy, too. They a little on the crazy side. But outside of that, like, it's really no benefits to California at all. I got my reasons for being here, and when those reasons are gone, I'm gone.
The answer to who gave them the power to keep doing that is we did. All these fucks that keep voting him in, you trade all of your
I can't point to myself. I'm pointing to all the other jackasses out there.
Yeah. Well, obviously, this fine panel doesn't count, Derek, but for everyone else, yes, they 100%. The sheep keep fucking voting them in.
Like, I'm wondering who the hell voted for Jasmine Crockett. I am so sick and tired of that bitch. I cannot wait to see her. I hate those people forever. Whoever voted for her, you are on my shit list forever because you have now foisted this woman upon the entire country, and we got to look at her dumb ass talk every goddamn day. I am so tired of that woman.
You know what, Derek?
Can we go in on Jasmine Ratchet real quick, man?
Yes, we are, because I already had it ready for you. We were going to jump into Hollywood, but I think it's perfect. Now, if you want to blame somebody, let me explain it. It's called Dallas. Dallas, like Houston, like Austin, are liberal lefty strongholds in Texas. The rest of Texas is red, but Dallas, Houston, that's why I live away from Houston. Anyway, Jasmine,
I keep saying though, man, you know, you ask, you know, how does this happen? You know, why does this, you know, why are we being charged so much? Why are we living like this? I told you, as long as Gavin Newsom keeps California a sanctuary state, these idiots will keep voting for him. They'll keep voting for him.
Especially now. What do you think?
As long as women have the right to either abort or mutilate their children, they will continue to vote for Gavin Newsom. What do you think? He is the problem.
Right, he is, but you see what he's done the last 2 weeks. He's trying to do that. I'm centrist now. He's tacking to the middle. All of a sudden,
Now he's saying that men shouldn't play in women's sports, right? Which
right
is
out of the blue after he spent years saying, "Oh no, it's a right. I'm going to fight for it." Now he's like, "I'm going to tack to the center." Bullshit. But Jasmine Crockett, so everybody knows. Okay, real quick before I show you the video, because she just replaced Alexandra Ocasio as the single dumbest member of Congress, and that's
a lot.
That says a lot. First of all, her father was a very wealthy pastor, right? But it doesn't explain the fact that she had a net worth of $300,000, joins Congress, and now she has a net worth of $9 million. They're saying, well, she was an attorney who was charging $5,000 an hour. So I did research. I'm like, I checked how much the most expensive attorneys in Dallas charge, and it was about $1,500. I'm like, so all of a sudden she did her paperwork. She's like, I charge $5,000 an hour. Well, here's what she said this morning, so you can understand why she gets the moniker as Doja's #1 target.
I'm so tired of her face, man.
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally.
I can play that again, but just so you can hear it.
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated, because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round.
Let's define the word illegal.
Well, it is a crime.
It's against the law, right?
Crime to wear them eyelashes too. Look, they need to get this chick. Dallas, y'all on the clock. The next election, y'all need to get this one. I am so tired of this idiot. Literally just said there's nothing illegal about entering the country illegally. What the hell is wrong with this person?
You know
somebody explain this to me.
I'll tell you what it is, right? Because I'm an implant from California, right? I came here 4 years ago, and I'll tell you what the issue is. Honestly, when I got here, I came here with a friend of mine, Matt Peterson, who his family moved as well. Actually, 9 families from my area moved to here, and we've made it a Republican stronghold moving in, because when you move from California, you're like, we couldn't do anything there, right? Like, you know that there's nothing you can do. And then you come to Dallas and you're like, you guys are all asleep. Like, what? And honestly, Texans they think that nothing's ever going to happen, that they're Republican. You've seen the shit show down in the Texas legislature, right? It's a disaster down there, right? For anyone who doesn't know, please go and look at what's going on down there. They literally had one Republican that just sided with all the Democrats, and that's it. That he's the speaker now. It's a shit show. But honestly, when we came in, I remember going to a dinner party, and I was like, you guys don't understand that. They're coming to trans your kids. Like, they're doing this. And everyone was looking at me like, you crazy Californian. Just sit down. And then 6 months later, you know, all the trans, you know, the drag queens show that was on here, and all of a sudden they were like, hey, you were right. I was like, no shit. Like, Texas is the crown jewel. Like, you have to get involved in local politics. Like, you have to, even on your local city council, because they're doing things like putting all that filth into the libraries, right? And they're operating on all different levels. And I do want to say this just quickly, guys. So my son has been waiting, because this is a very big deal. My son, because I won't, being an immigrant, I would not break the law when I came here, right? Like, again, they're talking about illegal. Yeah, they would have shipped me back very, very quickly if I would have come here illegally. And so my son, as an adult son of a naturalized citizen, he has to go through the process. It's pretty much guaranteed. He doesn't have a criminal record or whatever. And it went under Biden when I applied in 2022. It went from 4 years to 9 years to undetermined. His case getting processed. I looked yesterday, under Trump, 8 months. 8 months. They've cleared that much up.
In a month?
In a month. And nobody's talking about it. This is massive. Like, it's such a huge deal for everyone that's sitting there waiting to do it the right way. And we're like, well, we don't know how long it's going to take. And Biden goes, well, I don't know, but we're going to let, millions of illegals in. So it just shows you they absolutely knew what they were doing, right? They were stopping legal immigrants coming in, because the majority of legal immigrants love the country and they want to support the country and then end up voting Republican. And then you have, as you were alluding to before about California, right? They want those illegals in because they want to give them the driving licenses and let them have an illegal vote. So Trump is doing this so fast. It's staggering to me. I'd given up, to be honest. I went on the website and I was like, whatever, I'll go and have a look. It's going to say like, and then boom, 8 months. So that it's just massive.
Yeah, it's crazy everything that's going on. I wanted to share with y'all, this has been making the waves. There was a clip of Jasmine dancing down
the
halls of Congress. And
yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
Someone had sent it to me, but then whatever link that was, it says the owner blocked me.
The thing that pisses me off about her while you search for that, George, the thing that really pisses me off isn't the fact that she's a liberal, that she's cringe. I mean, yeah, that's a big part of it, but
crazy maybe.
But it's the part where I know this girl, for lack of a better word, is more intelligent than she comes off. And when she gets on air and just starts coming off real ghetto and ratchet, I'm like, who are you helping here? Like, what cause are you helping here? Right? Like you're sitting there trying to represent all people of color and especially all black people, and I can't even listen to you. I wouldn't let kids listen to you.
Right. That's the thing is
Cardi B. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
But I think that, don't you think a lot of that started with that idiot from was it Pennsylvania, the one who goes to the well of the Senate with shorts and a hoodie? You know what I'm talking about? Fetterman,
yeah.
But Fetterman's a different I mean, that's different, man. For me, it's like, look, for lack of a better word, I mean, I'm gonna let y'all white folks deal with y'all people, man.
You're gonna let white folks
no, but Dante's right, man. It does nothing for the black community at all for to have this woman who is in a prominent position out here sounding like insanely ghetto. I don't get it. It does nothing for the community. George, I just put a link in the private chat.
Well,
this is like a before and after for Jasmine. If you want to check that out,
the one
both, because
I think
it's insulting almost.
I think I think this goes for just about every race and every type of people and culture. Like, you got to remember, yes, you don't represent your entire culture, but sometimes you do represent the idea in front of certain people. Like yeah, you can't expect somebody to be like the end all be all of, like, if somebody acts a certain way, you can't judge an entire culture or race on that person. But if this is the kind of stuff you're going to keep putting forward, like, what do you expect people to think?
No, but see, here's my problem, Tom. Is she purposely tries to come off this way?
That's
right?
what I mean. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Yeah,
it's like she's trying to like ghetto it up. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
What's the point?
Because she believes that's going to appeal. Listen,
it's feeding into the stereotype was my point, right? Like, you're saying, like, look, you don't represent your whole race. I get that, but sometimes you do represent your race to certain people. And you have to understand that if you're putting yourself out there and this is what you're putting out there like that, it's going to start making people think the same. Like, that's the problem we've had in the last few years, especially with all the stuff that comes out on Twitter and stuff we see all the time, right? Like, this is an example. And it's gotten to a point where you're 100% right. But what do you do as a people, as your own race, to say to each other to go, like, knock it off, right? Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you got to call it out.
Well, that's what we're doing.
The problem I have, not just with her, but with all these people, man, they're sitting there making these dumbass dance videos. I'm like, do you people have a job? Like, do you work? Like, do you actually work or do anything?
They just want to go viral, bro. That's it. They just want to go viral. They want to go viral. They want to go on the TikTok scene and have everybody talking about this latest clapback that, Jasmine Crockett did, because she went viral, doing that in Congress with the bad built butch, whatever she was talking about with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think that set her off, and now she can't stop herself. But yeah, this video, play this video. Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he up there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't,
Kamala did this too, by the way, where she blacked it up.
For me to retire.
Sounded white when she wanted to.
You're the one that I believe should take my seat. I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know. We showed up, and if he had some sense, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense. So please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do for sure. We got some cool shirts. You know, the
Obama used to do this too.
Yeah, I find it.
You can see the contrast, right? She's like a normal person, and then she just decides to go super hood rat. And it's like, nah, bro, we ain't really. And black people are rocking with her. I don't understand that at all.
I don't. And then she puts out this.
Yeah.
How do I was just gonna sing that song, motherfucking right. No fucking way.
That can't be real. That can't be real.
That is not real. No way. I was literally gonna go like, she's coming out here all like, you ain't nothing but a hoochie mama. Yeah, I was seriously gonna do that.
I don't know. I wouldn't put
surprise you anymore.
I wouldn't put anything past her at this point.
Wow.
I would.
That woke me up. I was like, no way. They just stole my joke.
Do you know what, George? I had something happen to me which is really funny because I basically come from a very, very rough background in the UK. It's almost like the projects, right? Like it's government housing. It's rough, and I'm not going to say the actor who it is, but you know, when you come from that, you are that, right? Like that's where you're from. But you're aspirational, right? You don't want to stay there. You want to, do better. And there's a lot of people that are still there, by the way, that have improved their lives, right? So I do want to say that. My mom still lives in the same house that I grew up in. But when you meet someone who's from an affluent background,
right,
and they play that role,
oh, it's the worst.
That really pisses me off. And there's one actor in particular, I'm not going to say he's a really big actor.
Matt Damon.
The movie? Give us a hint of a movie.
No, I'm not going to do it. But I know him, and he comes from a really. He comes from a
you get where I'm going with this,
you
right?
guys are going to keep going.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, stop it. He comes from a really look.
All the Boston guys, basically.
No, but you know what I mean. Like my son doesn't come from the same background that I did, and I worked really hard to get out of that.
Shore.
I'll be honest, I don't care because
it's Pauly Shore.
I don't need murderers to be murderers, and I don't need people that struggled to play struggling roles. But yeah, it probably doesn't help with their motivation.
Yeah, but he drives me bonkers because I'd sit there and they'd be like, "Yeah, you know, I'm from the streets," and I'm like, "I know that you're not. Like, I know that you are not. You came from a really nice background, which I'm going to applaud your parents for doing that. Like, that's great."
It started with Vanilla Ice, man. It all started with Vanilla Ice.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Absolutely, with that role. But
Hollywood believes it. They believe it. They're like, oh, you know, he's really, and I'm like, no, like that's my story, not his story. You know what I'm saying? Because when you try and do better for yourself, that's what you're trying to do. Right?
That don't sell. Like, do you guys remember American Fiction? I'm pretty sure you guys saw American Fiction.
Oh yeah,
that was basically the story of that movie. It's like this guy couldn't sell a book as soon as he decides to go and tell some hood story about how hard of a life he had. Next thing you know, he's a best-selling author and this and that. That's basically what's going on. You got the exact same situation with Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett went to a private school. All right, she is a wealthy. She was born into a wealthy family. She had good, upbringing. It's like Clarence from 8 Mile, right? Like that's basically who Jasmine Crockett is. Putting on the front for the cameras, for TikTok, for social media. She's not real. She's not a real person.
She's doing the Talcum X thing. She's doing what Talcum X did. Remember that guy?
Yeah,
knew
exactly.
I know who it is now. Josh Hartnett.
But here's the thing, George.
Ewan McGregor. God, I'm trying to get a reaction.
Sean King isn't black. I don't think.
I know, but he says he's black.
The verdict is still out on him.
Rachel Dolezal.
There you go. Well,
yeah.
Hey, don't bring that strong black woman into this.
Before we switch to the next topic, I'm gonna read a few super chats. Hold on, Fletcher, bring them up. Well, yeah, that's a gift for me to everybody else. Okay, Eric K, member for 14 months, also the king of the mods. Smash that like, show that love. Come on, get those swords out. Thank you, Eric K. Man of War, Neighbor of the Beast, member for 14 months. Wow, it's already been 14 months. Eric K. like this. Oh, like I said, they've already started the party early. Nick the Greek Yasu Filemu, how you doing for $5? He just drops it. Just like, hello. Thank you very much, my friend. And then we got the Skull Leader. Great to see you. We're going to have a member stream next week.
Also, shockingly, Rachel Dolezal has an OnlyFans.
I know you told me that. I didn't.
What a surprise!
Yeah, that's, cannot believe that. I thought you were joking with me.
No, I shit you not, my friend.
I believe you, but I thought you were really joking with me, so I didn't.
How did you know?
Ah,
I know things. That's all. I just know things.
It's just kind of like being
a man who knows things.
We need to turn that into a meme. You know, the way you had Cackles do it, being unburdened by the burden of burden. And yesterday, didn't she do 2 days ago something about smell that everybody was laughing about, where she's like, it smells like the thing that I smell. I smell it. And I was like, whew. Skull Eater.
Admit that that woman is an alcoholic.
Yeah, when are we going to admit? Yeah, that's a good point. And now she's considering running for governor of California.
I swear, I'm out. I'm not even like, it's not a threat, right? I'm not fronting. I'm out if that happens.
She signed with CAA after Biden did a week. Plus, 2 of her campaign aides have come out and said that they're moving to California because she was looking at the future. And you had the former Democratic operative who went on Patrick Bet David the other day and said, no, she's planning to go for governor of California because she thinks she still has a career.
Why is CAA doing that? Why is CAA?
I have no idea.
And that, by the way, it's the most difficult agency to get into.
Yes, it is. They let go of a lot of talent already.
But why are they moving into politics? It's very interesting.
Like, why would Biden sign up with it?
They're moving into influencers, basically. They're getting rid of all of their Hollywood talent, and they're picking up influencers now.
Yes, but why Biden? He is literally brain dead. And then Kamala?
For name only.
She could not win an election, right? She couldn't win her own primary when she ran. What is it that CAA sees in her? Like, are they going to get her speeches for like $10 a pop? Like, what? I mean, a book? Okay, a book. I see a book. She's going to go into film? Like,
well, George, here's the thing.
Actually, she's going to make a lot more money than you think. Sorry, go ahead.
It's still the biggest agency, but it's not what it used to be. So, I mean,
I thought it was the top.
Hollywood is dead. Hollywood is dead, right? Like, we're living off the vapors of Hollywood right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think she's going to get money from the DNC floated to her, but I'm talking about actual money. You think people are actually going to pay for her? It's like Hillary sold them.
Every single president gets represented by agencies like this. They all go on speaking tours. They all get shitty documentaries. It's
exactly,
just,
Yeah,
literally par for the course.
Okay, I'll put it to you this way. When I was a kid, my family, we weren't big back then into politics. My family got a letter because we were in the Republican Party from, does anybody remember Dan Quayle?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Dan Quayle invited us to a luncheon. And I think I was 12 or 14. I was like, well, Key's not going to win because it was to run for president. Some kind of like putting a presidential committee. I'm like, if they're inviting fucking us, he's not winning. We don't know anybody. And it was just, it's like Kamala. Come on. Anyway, Skull Eater for $2. Hi, George. How you doing, Skull Eater? Missed you. Can't wait till next Saturday. Graph Webb for $2. In the name of all that is holy, cancel Disney Plus. This is a night on a crusade. And I love him. Thank you, Graph Webb. We also have Honesty and Truth, always for 10 pounds. Harry and wife for numpties. Oh, God. Yes. Meghan and Harry, they put out their series this week with Love Meghan. So I put out a video this morning, and I was making, obviously, fun of it. It really is not a television show. It's a televised personality disorder. And basically, you got She Who Must Be Obeyed in her ginger handbag. She puts flowers, edible flowers, on everything from peanut butter sandwiches, cucumber sandwiches, donuts, fried eggs and bacon. And she has a clip where she's like, we're going to make chicken now. She opens up the fridge, right? Raw drumsticks of chicken, not in a package or in a pan, laying on the fridge next to the greens. I'm like, it's stupid shit. Like, it's like she doesn't know anything. She had basically paid for fake friends who show up and say how wonderful she is, but she has basically all the charisma and excitement of someone on Ambien trying not to wake a kid next door. So, hi, wow. Did you know I used to eat at Jack in the Box? Did you know that I used to do this? My name is Sussex. I'm like, you mean you're a fucking county in England now? Anyway, thank you, honestly.
Listen, I do think she's good looking, though. Does anyone else think she's good looking?
Not as much.
No.
I think like the more you get to know her, the uglier she gets.
See, that's the problem. I don't care how hot somebody is when their personality is that of a rat. It's like they get uglier for me. It's just I don't see the. I don't know. Change. Go back to
let's be real here. Like Rachel Zegler is bangable. Okay, like no one's saying she's not.
I wouldn't touch her with anyone.
She gets a little more unattractive every time I see her.
Yeah.
No way. She's.
Don't get me wrong. A few beers and I'm in.
First of all, she's
a few beers.
She's a stick.
Bitch, she said sit hi to you. You would be like, hi.
It'd take more than a few beers. I need stronger.
What are we talking about?
I need drugs.
No,
There's
I mean, look,
way.
she's doable. She is very doable.
She's not, you're gonna get splinters, number one, because she's a stick. So that's first. She's not. Nope. Anyway,
did you see her walk out with Gal Gadot?
Oh,
and you're like,
yeah,
that was brilliant.
Like, who made that decision? Right? Like, who's the fairest of them all? Well, clearly you are, Gal. You know what I mean? Like, 6 foot tall, gorgeous. You know, I'm just like, what?
She walks like a mom pushing a cart at like Walmart, dude. Like she had the grace of that.
And have you seen her feet though? Those big-toed Brie Larson bunions. Come on, that's like Bigfoot shit. No. Because she shows them. I'm sorry, stuck it. No, anyway, I'll get into that later. Harry and wife from
He's the fairest one of them all.
Oh, you're talking about Ziegler now and Gadot. Okay, I love Gadot. Yeah. I think that's going to be one of the key reasons for all those who don't know anything about the Rachel Ziegler phenomenon. That's going to kill it because you're going to be there and you're suspension of disbelief. You're like, I'm the fairest one of them all. It's like who it is, and they're going to show her, and you're going to look at Gadot. You're going to look at her. You're going to look at. It's like, okay, got to walk out of here.
It's not like Gal Gadot is open to movie either, other than Wonder Woman.
Right, but she's Gal Gadot. I mean, all she has to do is just stand there. And
I know, but I'm saying it's not like people are going to go see it just because she's in it either, though, is my point. Right.
Yeah.
If Rachel Ziegler wasn't in it, I would have seen it just for Gadot. I like Gadot. Most politicians are corrupt in the UK, predict riots in the UK. That's what Matthew was just saying. President Trump popular in the UK. Israel created by UK, USA, and others in 1947-48 must support them. No troops to Ukraine. All right, honesty and truth, laying it out straight and true. Love it. Thank you. Shark dentures for $2. Dallas is a pimple on the ass of Texas. Popping. I wish. That was where my ex-wife was from. Her mom was big into politics. That's a whole other story. I'll tell on the members.
You know, and the scary thing is, George, that California was once a red state.
Yep.
And then it went once. And it seems like now everybody's got their sights set on Texas.
It still kind of is if you pan back and you look at all of the maps. It's just the ones with the most.
You're right.
You know what I think? You made a good point, but I'll add to this. I used to think there was a time that California, I think, best represented itself as an example of the best in the country because of one reason. Outside of Texas, of course, because Lone Star State's number one, is because it would go half the time red, half the time blue. It would go back and forth. There was a balance. Yeah. If somebody did something a little too crazy, it switched to the other side. If it did a little too, it went back and forth. And that ended basically, I think it was 98 when they basically let everybody flood in from Tijuana, Mexico, just all the illegal immigration killed it. Because somehow that changed votes, even though somebody.
But we still had Schwarzenegger. I think he was the governor.
What a joke.
Not too long
but
ago.
the
I mean,
problem
he's
was
pretty much a leftist, but he was still in that Republican Party. We had the governorship. I think that was mid 2000s.
They ran out of white people money. That's why. So they had to start appealing to everybody else.
But Schwarzenegger was, Mr. You can screw your freedom.
Yeah, no. I'm not caping for the guy. I'm just saying, there was still like a Republican presence. Like a Republican could still win in office, even at that point in time. And I think Rick Riordan, I forget when he was LA mayor. That wasn't that long ago. But yeah, since then, it's gone completely off.
If you believe Arnold's book, though, they tried to sabotage him left and right. The Democrats did when he was governor.
Real quick, who was governor during the during the Rodney King riots?
Who was governor?
Oh, yeah, governor.
Probably Jerry Brown. I think.
Was it Jerry Brown?
Yeah.
Just curious.
I think.
All right.
I just can't remember because I remember the Koreans on the rooftops. Wow, watching that.
I lived that. I was in that. I was walking home from school seeing that.
The Koreans on the rooftops?
Oh yeah, no, it was wild, man, because I went to school in the valley and we got bussed out. I lived in the hood. We got bussed out to the valley every day. Crazy ride, but whatever. And I remember they read the verdict as we were on the freeway coming home on the school bus. So by the time we got into LA, it was already on fire.
But they were based as hell. Those guys had balls.
Oh, they were not fucking around, man. It was like you If you got even close to their store, you were getting shot. So yeah, no, it was a wild scene.
Thank you, Shark Dentures, for that. Love you. And next, we got a heft for $10. Senate GOP voted to allow debanking over misinformation. The bill was funded by banks. This isn't getting the attention it needs. Well, then I'm going to research into it. And I will start talking about it this week, Wednesday, with Verbal and Tom on Slayer and Chain. Thank you for that. Honesty and Truth is back with another 10 pounds. Be grateful, Americans, regarding your number of politicians. Here we have 650. I didn't know it was that many. MPs earning $90K a year and 750 lords who I didn't know the lords got paid. Wow, $300 for turning up. Our system must change immediately. It's up to you, and we will help you all as much as we can. Thank you, Honesty and Truth, for always saying it straight. Steel Leg of History, member for 14 months. So proud of you, George. Be blessed. Just hit 634 subs. Hey, everybody, Steel Leg of History is a wonderful human being, and he'll even show you his leg. Has a great channel. Plays a lot of cool games. Let's see if we can't get him up to 700 or more. Go over there. Check it out. You're going to like it. Sign up. Subscribe. Torgo the White for $2. Code switching so hard she doing the Konami code. I like that. That's
I
good.
see what
Thank
you did there. I see what you did there.
I like that. Flying blind on a
Up,
rocket.
up, down, down.
Right,
Down,
right,
left,
BA,
right, whatever. AB, yeah.
That's like when Musk did, what was it like, right after that quasi State of the Union speech in Congress when he was walking out, and some reporter walks up to him. I had a clip of it, and she was like, since you're giving out your cell phone number, can you give it to me? And he's like, he goes, it's something 8008. It was just because it's boob, and he was laughing and she didn't get it. Flying blind on a rocket cycle for $2. My guess is Anthony Hopkins, Laurence Olivier.
He's saying no, he's not there.
I know. I'm still waiting. I'm trying. He's got a poker face. What am I telling you? He's a professional. You can't see through it. Benjamin Jans, a member for 5 months. Hey, all the Dems look like the Batman villains. Oh, God, did they?
I shared that meme on Wednesday, didn't I?
Yeah, if you have it.
That chick with the purple hair. I don't understand what's going on.
You mean the crone?
You mean the one? Is she from like Maryland or Maine or some weird?
Connecticut, I think.
She's from the gingerbread house. That's where she's from.
Yeah, exactly. Like
she's gonna
eat your kids.
Pie, man.
Exactly.
Wow. Thank you, Benjamin. Always great to see it.
You know, she's like Lord Kiss to her home.
Mark Daly for $5. Megan is the Yoko Ono of the British royal family. She wrecked the best member. I don't. Okay, well, she is the Yoko Ono, and he was
the coolest back in the day, though. I got to say, like Harry was kind of like, well, he was the redhead.
He was, except for the fact that I think the night he got married, he gift wrapped his nuts and said, "Here you go, yours."
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you don't let it happen, do you? If you're a real man, I hate to say it like that.
It's difference between being a partner and having someone you love, and then difference between being I don't know. He looks like a cuck. The only thing is,
and how many years are you married before you realize it's not a partnership? You're just in this. And she's the boss.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Look, to me, it looks like he got a taste of the chocolate and just couldn't turn back. That was it.
Maybe
milk chocolate there, Dante.
Yes.
Here's that meme you were talking about, George.
Yeah. You know, my friend went to school with her. So
with which one?
Meghan Markle.
No shit.
Yeah, he went to school with her in La Cañada.
Does he have any stories?
Yeah, he does actually.
He
does. He does. He's got a video of her doing a school play, which is kind of funny. I was like, dude, that's worth a lot of money. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do anything. But yeah.
No, I like to interview him. Bring him on. We got to hear a few things.
And just think, before Harry, she was just a C-level actress.
Oh God, C. I always have her as D. You really think she would? Look,
because D level's like reality star, so she was about a C level.
Yeah. Really? Okay. Man, y'all are much kinder than
I mean, she had a regular speaking role on the show that went on for a few years. So
it was popular. Yeah.
Okay, the show was popular. I actually went through because when I had pneumonia last year, and I was like, okay, I don't know why I'm going to do this. I decided to do it for video. I went to check because she had held an interview in, I think it was Nigeria. It was in Canada for the Invictus Games last year, or for when they were setting them up for this year. And she basically had explained that she was a star of the show, and it just stuck in my craw. So I went through the entire series that she was in, every season. She appears for a total of 138 minutes. So I was like, yeah, she's not a star of a show. It's a cameo marathon.
And she plays the hot chick in it.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes. I guess it depends on your preference.
Honestly, she's like one step removed from like Shannon Elizabeth, man. Like Shannon Elizabeth could have been the Duchess of whatever country that is, right? I mean, she's not that special, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree with you.
It's not like Harry Falcon,
Shannon Elizabeth.
I don't know. When I was in Brentwood, I saw a lot of hot women who
like Harry went out there and found himself an A-level actress, right? He found a C-level chick.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Elizabeth. Oh, that's a blast from the past, dude. You pulled that one out. I was like, what? You know what's funny? I actually saw a picture of her yesterday, and I was like, huh. I went to a premiere that she did. She did a movie called 13 Ghosts because after she did American Pie, believe it or not, she was very much in demand, right? Because that movie did a lot of money. And then I went to the premiere of 13 Ghosts. She was very beautiful, actually, in real life. That's all.
She had a great body.
Yeah, she was hot. And then she gave it all away to become a poker player.
Is that
really?
What happened?
Really?
What happened? Wow.
Pretty much, yeah.
I didn't know that. I loved American Pie with her in it, though.
She did the Jennifer Tilly thing where she just quit acting and just played poker for the rest of her life. So
good work. You can get it, I guess.
Yeah.
Ari G, member of her month. Glad you remember. She walks like Jar Jar Binks. Oh, I never thought of that.
Yo, you feel that, Dante?
Oh,
you feel that, Badger?
Zegler. Yeah, no, Rachel Zegler did actually walk like when she walked out.
We just had an earthquake. Hold on.
Oh God, I gotta make sure the figures don't fall
Are you
over.
serious? Are you really
serious?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in California.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the. Oh.
No. We just had an earthquake.
Oh, okay.
None of your figures have fallen over.
Aren't you supposed to go like under an
He's got them pasted down.
I'm near the coast. So they're.
Oh, you didn't feel it then? Nah,
Yeah,
I felt it.
Aren't you supposed to go under an archway or in a bathtub or?
Nah, man,
I felt the earth move, but I'm smoking weed, so.
Crazy. Mark Daly for $5 verbal. I agree with you about Zegler. She's doable until she opens her mouth to talk, that is.
I don't know.
Weird.
I can't. Yep, just not. But thank you, Mark
Can't
Daly.
do it.
Blitzen gifted 10 Georgia Giants Slayer memberships. Thank you, Blitzen. Everybody, please go thank Blitzen. Please. Thank you, Blitzen. That is awesome. Now, we're going to talk about the news that I'm sure is making Alan Rickman look down from heaven to say, what the fuck?
Severus Snape might be a black guy in the upcoming Harry Potter show. Is it because Snape cast a race transition spell?
Wingardium Blackiosa.
Or because he drank a polyjuice potion? Well, we don't know the reason, but it likely has something to do with HBO's goal of being committed to inclusive, diverse casting. Defenders of this casting choice are celebrating it as a step toward inclusivity. They also note that Snape's race is never specified in the books. Critics counter that Snape is described as a pale, pallid, and sallow-skinned person, none of which are terms that you'd use to describe the actor who's being cast for this role, Papa Isiadu. As for me, I grew up with Harry Potter. I remember waiting until midnight for the next book to drop. And it's also cool, as a black person, to see Papa have...
Okay, so Alan Rickman is saying, what the fuck from heaven? Let's go around the horn. What do y'all think? Matthew?
I mean, until it's like official, I'm still going to like just...
It is official.
I'm going to consider it a rumor for now.
It's not official, actually. This is the other thing that pissed me off. Everyone reported it like it was official. It says, official, he's been cast. And then the source is Deadline. And then you go to Deadline and they say, I hear that he's near closing his deal, which is not done. It's near.
Right.
Now, they did also report John Lithgow, and that ended up being correct. So that's why it's taken with an air of authority. That being said, this immediately makes me not give a shit because it's not authentic to the books, which is what they said it was. I refuse to believe, much like with Ariel, that this was the best person for the role.
No, it absolutely was not. It absolutely was not. Are you kidding me? Look, I know I posted that thing about Adam Driver, and I get it. He's a Hollywood A-lister. He probably wouldn't do it. My point is, though, there are a lot of Adam Drivers in Hollywood. Okay, there are a lot of like good-looking guys who are, not even good-looking, but just guys who can play that part so much better. That are a dime a dozen, right? And they purposely went out of their way.
Just mulching, like all the other.
They went out of their way to find a dark-skinned black guy to play Snape. No, this was a choice. This had nothing to do with the best person gets the job.
Absolutely.
Fucking knew it. We already messed up.
Unless they make Snape the blackest Snape like we've ever seen, right? Give him an afro and shit. Like I want to see a Snape, like a black.
You're gonna have James Potter hang Snape,
like I want them
black
to go all
Snape.
out. If they're gonna do
upside
it,
down.
do it.
You're gonna have James Potter hang black Snape upside down under a tree.
Goddamn mudbloods.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree, Badger. I don't know how they're going to. Oh well, and you heard the other part of it, right? That like James Potter is supposed to be racist in this version of the.
It's gonna absolutely come off as racism when James Potter and Sirius Black are bullying the hell out of Snape. It's gonna come off as racism. Oh, you trying to talk to this white girl? Oh yeah, we about to tear you up. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be super bad.
Young Lily Potter with her weird little black friend that is supposed to be Snape, but now it's going to be her weird little black friend that now everyone will be racist for her not wanting to be friends. But yeah, it's a whole thing.
Hermione's going to be black too. You guys know this, right?
Yeah, and so then Hermione can be called a mudblood and help the elf slave rebellion that she's going to start.
Look, I have zero interest in this, and I could care less. But I've been warning people about this. Yes, I know J.K. Rowling's based when it comes to the men and women's bathrooms and men and women's sports. But I tried to remind people that she is woker than woke when it comes to everything else. And she has signed off on all this race swapping stuff. And I tried warning people when this show gets started, when they start announcing the casting, don't be surprised if it's full of like the Captain Planet cast.
But it doesn't bode well, Tom, for their show. Hold on. We got Little Platoon is joining us now. Little Platoon, my brother. How you doing, sir?
I am okay, thank you. How are you?
What happened to your voice?
You sound like C-3PO, like
some helium or something. What's going on?
Wait, ready?
Yeah,
I am C-3PO human cyborg relations.
I am C-3PO human cyborg relations.
You sound mechanical and super high pitched.
Yes.
I will check that and get back to you.
Cool. Take that out. Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in? Wait 10 seconds before you do that, though. Thank you.
Little Platoon, thank you and come again.
It's too funny.
Ask our friend R2 if he can help you.
Well, we used to call it
but
bad
this whole situation with race swapping, it's a major issue. This might be the biggest race swapped character that we've ever seen, aside from Ariel from Little Mermaid. I mean, Snape is a very pivotal part of the entire Harry Potter franchise. He's not some minor character you could just race swap like they kind of did with Nick Fury. You could just kind of race swap him and forget about it because he's not like that integral to the overall story. Snape is a major part of the story, and race swapping him, it absolutely changes everything. And it's not like we don't know what this character looked like. Everybody's trying to say, oh, they never described him in the books. J.K. Rowling drew pictures of what he looked like, and he looked everything like we thought he would look. He looked like Alan Rickman.
They didn't read the books.
This is just utter bullshit, man. It's just utter bullshit.
I actually read the books as they came out. I was a teenager kid, so like they didn't read these books. This is just like all of them. This is their next little of our toys that they can set on fire and burn, and then blame us for not.
Here's her artwork.
Money for it.
I love how you guys keep saying them when it is more or less JK.
It is JK
some
Rowling.
of this stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Like you guys got to remember,
I understand what you're saying, but I refuse to believe JK was like, "Hey, only hire a black guy." She may be signing off on it, but I don't understand how they're saying it's authentic to the books. If they're
can you imagine if she said no?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if she said no though? Like, you got the woke guys in Hollywood, like giving a suggestion and J.K. Rowling says no. What's the headline that's going to be leaked out about J.K. Rowling that she turns down this character? But here's another point, right? Like in the original Harry Potter, like that was a who's who of British actors, right? Like the best. They were the best actors. If you go through that cast, it's unbelievable. And so what you're doing, it's already difficult for the actor stepping into that role. I mean, I would not want to, although, listen, I can be one of those dime a dozen verbals that could go and play, Snape, right? Of course, I'd love to be in that franchise. One of my friends was in it. But you're already being compared to Alan Rickman, who's one of the greatest actors of all time, right? It's like, you know, good luck being compared to Gary Oldman, another one of the greats of all time, right? You can just go through them all. So you, as an actor, you've already got that. You're already going and going, shit. You know, and that's why I moved out personally. I moved out from doing Shakespeare, because when you do Shakespeare in theater, you've got all these greats that went before you that have done the RSC and whatever. And I wanted to get away from that to go and do more film. Right. So that's a problem. And what they're doing is they're setting this guy up for failure, right? They're setting him up for failure because nobody's looking at him going now, oh, you're such an amazing actor that you got that job, which should have been the criteria for it, right? And he is a great actor, right? There's no two ways about that. But what is overshadowing it, and we said it on for all these race swapping roles, it sets the actor up for failure.
And if he's better than Alan, it won't matter. He could be better than Alan in the role; it wouldn't matter because we all know it was a farce that he got.
Right,
that role.
that's correct. 1 second, real quick. I'm going to be right back. Verbal takeover. Give me 2 minutes.
Platoon, are you still helium?
I don't know. What do I sound
Oh,
like
there you
now?
go.
Oh, great.
Is it better?
Lovely dulcet
You
voice.
sound
There you go.
fine.
Oh, yeah.
So can I just make one more point about this? Is that what does it do for all the fans, given we know what they did with Rings of Power, we know what they've done with Star Wars, you start going, oh, shit, they're going to ruin it. Right. I mean, that's why I'm like,
the problem with that is Warner Brothers can't afford this, man. Like, they really can't afford this. Like,
no,
people have no idea how like almost bankrupt this company is, dude. Like, they're as it is, they're gambling everything on Superman right now. Everything. They are gambling like their whole studio on that one movie. But then to go ahead and do some shit like this, and the crazy thing about it is Harry Potter of any kind should be a home run for them.
Easy.
It should be like easy, just easy,
layup,
right?
Well, this is also there's a separation here because this is
Because
HBO.
Here's the biggest problem: the people who hate J.K. Rowling on the left weren't going to watch it anyway. Yeah. So that left the rest of us, right? So now they're going to piss off us, the other half who are going to watch it.
Yep.
Why would you do this?
Well, I was just going to say there is one thing here you got to keep in mind. HBO is somewhat separate from Warner Brothers, and Casey Bloys runs HBO, and Zaslav gives her a long leash, I guess. And here's the other thing: you have nothing but a wall of women running HBO.
Bro, they ain't that separated.
They're separated enough that Casey Bloys is the one who actually runs the show over there. That's what I'm trying to remind you. And they have a wall of woke at HBO. They have nothing but women running the show there.
Yeah, but Tom, my point is they can't afford to be woke anymore. They can't.
Oh, I know they can't. And that means Zaslav's got to come in and start shortening that leash, or the shit's going to go bye-bye real fast.
The only chance this thing has is that Zaz gets the message, oh, okay, everybody hates the hell out of this thing. Like the outcry has been absolutely palpable. Everybody's making videos about this. People are clowning it, laughing it. And at some point in time, HBO has to wake up, or Zaslav has to say, you know what? Let's not race swap, Severus Snape. That might be a bad idea. And to the point that this guy is going to be laughed at, and he's going to be ridiculed, and he's going to be mocked, and they're setting this dude up for failure. He's accepting the role. I put all of these actors that accept these race swapped roles, I give them just as much culpability for all of the backlash that they're going to get, because you don't have to accept the role. I know it's a role of a lifetime, and it's a lot of money and everything. Fine. If you want to go ahead and accept that, then don't cry when everybody is slamming your ass. All right?
I don't put that on the actors, man.
That role.
I do put it on the actors. You know why?
I'm sorry, man. They accepted this shit. If you I'm saying, I'm trying to talk to the black actors. Stop accepting roles.
So who do you blame? The person who offers the job or the person who takes the job?
It's both. It takes two to tango.
You can't
I agree
blame both.
100%.
If I'm trying to eat,
Idris Elba said he didn't want to be James Bond.
What is the actor saying? Excuse me one second. What is the actor saying? What he's saying is yes, I'm going to take a role to eat. But what he's telling the entire community is that we want roles. When you hear a lot of actors, they go, I want roles that are defined for us, especially when you have leftist actors. They're like, why don't they make original roles for black characters? Well, if you keep taking roles that are race swap, guess what? You're being part of the process that tokenizes it, that lessens it. Why should they ever make any original roles for anybody? For black, for brown, for Greek, for whatever. You shouldn't. They're not going to do it.
George, I agree with that. Here's the thing. If black actors had to wait for that, then they're going to keep waiting. They're going to keep waiting, right? And they're not going to
Right.
work. And that's what sucks. Again, I blame the person who offers them the job. They know better.
An actor.
They're the person in charge of casting, right? So that literally falls on their head, and they should be
That's
fired.
the problem, is you're both right. See, you have the issue here, whereas like if you don't do it, somebody else is gonna do it, right? And you're right. They're the ones at the top asking for this. I'll give you a perfect example of this. What's his face? Jeffrey Wright, who plays Commissioner Gordon in The Batman.
Yeah.
I had no problems with him being cast until I'm sitting in the middle of the movie and I'm going, wait a minute, every white person in this movie is a piece of shit. Is that the only reason that they made Gordon a black guy, so that he could be a good guy? And I'm serious, go rewatch that movie.
Tom,
They even
Kennel
make
made the
Bruce
point. He
Wayne's
got
parents and
attacked for it.
Alfred a piece of shit in the movie, basically. And so you're sitting here going, so is Jeffrey Wright actually cast because he's a good actor, or is he cast just because he's black?
See, here's the thing: a guy like Jeffrey Wright, you will give the benefit of the doubt because he's a great actor. So you'd be like, okay, look. At
Until
the end of the day,
halfway
he's
in the
a great
movie,
actor.
and I realize, oh shit, that's not the reason he got the job.
But my point is like if you're not a black actor at the very top, I'm talking like a Denzel Washington, a Will Smith.
Morgan
Your
Freeman, shit like that,
choices are very limited in Hollywood, man. Now, Hollywood should do the right thing and create original black characters, right? I mean, that's what any creative would do.
This isn't the way, Dante. This isn't
No,
the
no,
way.
no,
Accepting
hear me
these
out.
type of roles isn't the way to do it.
I agree with that, but my problem is though, when look, man, if I'm working somewhere, right, and in my industry, the positions are limited, I'm going to have to just take a position, right? Either that or not work, not pay my bills, not eat, right? Somebody's
There are other
actors are in these
jobs. That's
situations.
the other thing. There are other jobs.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but come on, man. Like,
What he's saying is correct.
One at a time. One at a
Time
time.
out.
Yeah,
What
one
he's
at a
saying
time.
is correct, because like what I was saying about Jeffrey, playing the role of Commissioner Gordon, who would turn that role down? That is a big deal for him, right? Like that puts him on another level of where he was already, because now he is in a big A-list blockbuster, quote unquote, film, and now he can charge a lot more. His name means a lot more because he played Commissioner Gordon one time.
Okay, now let's ask Matthew, who's an actor. Which side do you fall on? Both? You see both perspectives, or one
I
of
do see the perspectives, but as an actor who actually stood up for what he believed in and lost a shit ton of work, and nobody
Right.
really gives a shit about that afterwards, right? I got to tell you, I'm not having one of the things that drives me bonkers is conservatives never, ever, ever back conservative actors. They don't do it. I've never been offered a role by a conservative ever, right? So here's the thing. If someone comes up to you, I remember when I very, very first came to Hollywood, and I was on, for those who lived in the Valley will know exactly where this is. I was directly opposite CBS Studios in the Valley, and I got a phone call. It was my agent, and they were like, hey, listen, they want to offer you a television show, right? A pilot for a television show. I was like, okay. And they said, but we think, and this was at a big agency that might have been mentioned earlier on, because I was with them for 6 years, right? And they said to me, you got to remember all the different things that are going on here, guys, right? It's very easy to come out from the outside and say, hey, listen, turn it down. I'm just going to just outline this. Is they said to me, hey, listen, we think you should turn it down because you're going to get your own show, right? And I was like, and it's my very, very first ever pilot season in LA. And they told me how much money I was going to earn, and it was more per episode, right, than I'd ever heard of in my life, right? And I went, okay, I'll pass. Boom. And I put the phone down, and I was just like, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Because that was the difference between life-changing money at that moment, right? Life-changing money. Now, my agent at that point was behind me, and I did get a show with Simon Kinberg wrote it, Jerry Bruckheimer produced it, and I was the lead in it, but it didn't go, right? We made the show. It's called Legacy, and it was actually one of Simon Kinberg's very first job, guys. Just so anyway, but that moment when you realize, as Verbal was saying, like somebody else is going to get that role. You fought all the way to get to that point, and if you don't do that role, someone else is going to step in. And here's the other thing. Your agent will go, what the F are you doing? You are turning down millions of dollars. I take 10% of this. My manager takes 10% of this. The lawyer takes 5% of this. You're out. You're gone, because I'm going to go with the next guy. It's literally like that.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you, and I'm interrupting for a second because I want to follow up with this. You stood up for your principles.
Yeah.
You ever regret it?
No, but I was at a different point in my career, and I'm not a young black actor. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. Is traditionally
Halle Bailey said yes to being Black Ariel. The movie flopped, and now she has horrible word of mouth. So what did it do for anyone's career? I hope the money was worth it, because now she has nothing. Like, bro, at the end of the day, I don't want Black Snape.
It is a double-edged sword.
I understand.
Look, as a fan, I hate this stuff. But but if we're talking industry, I understand why it happens, or why. And when I say why it happens, I mean why an actor would take the role, not why they would offer them the role. Right? Because, like, again, casting directors are fucking assholes. But I can understand as an out of work actor, like I said, man, you need food on your table.
Going back to the message. Go back to the message of Hollywood Shuffle. All right, where all they offered black actors were slaves and hoodlums and gangsters and all of that stuff. And at the very end, we got the message: there's work at the post office. When do you compromise your? How far or how big of a paycheck do you need to compromise what you truly believe is the right thing? Race swapping is bullshit. We all agree, but nevertheless, I just don't see making an excuse for it. If you take a race swap role, you're a part of the problem. All right, you're just as much a part of the problem as that casting director.
But
if every black actor said, no, I'm not doing this, this is bullshit, this is racist, race swapping. If every black actor said that, guess what? They would say, okay, I guess we gotta cast somebody else, because the black actors are saying no.
They're still going to make it, and that actor is just out of luck. Right. Now that's ideal, right? Like, that's standing up for your principles, right? And that's all well and good until you see all the bills piling up, right? And then it gets a little iffy. It gets a little weird.
Let me give you another example.
I'll tell you right now. I took a stand back in 2008. I had a script that I was pitching to HBO. They loved everything about my script, right? Except for the fact that the lead character was black, right? They wanted to change him into a white guy. I took a stance. I was like, look, man, the story doesn't work if he's not black, right? They were insisting on it. So I pulled out, right? Do I regret that to this day? A little bit. I'd be in a lot better position if I took the deal, right? But I did the noble thing and stuck to my principles. My thing is, man, it's easy to shame the people who are trying to make it over the people who've already there and know better, right? And those are the people who need to be shamed. Are the people who make it?
I agree with that.
Not the people who are being offered the position.
I agree with that.
There's also, let me just say this as well. I completely agree with you on that. I don't think they should take those roles, right? But I understand their predicament because I've been in it. Now, for me to turn around, you know the amount of people that DM me who took fake vaccines, took the fake vaccine card, and they were like, Matt, you go on. They're still making $100,000 a week, right? And I'm like, do you want to throw a brother a bone? You know what I mean? Like, you're saying you support me, but you're not really. And at the end of the day, this is the difference between the left and the right. The right does not back each other. They don't do it. You, Verbal, didn't get anyone else coming in and offering you money for your film. And if you did, what they do is they come in and they go, let's give it to another leftist. Let's just drop down the budget. And all. So there needs to be a bit of a change. Now, let me just say this. I hate the swapping. There's nobody that hates it more than me, right? And I've said over and over and over, like, there should not be a black James Bond. There should not be a black James Bond. And everyone's like, oh, it should be Idris Elba. No, it shouldn't, because like we were saying earlier, it's integral to the character that if you want to look at the British Empire, that white guys were all over the world, right? And he's a spy, right? Now, you got to write stuff for the characters, right? In the same way, I don't think you should make a white guy Black Panther. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and look, and as a fan of the material, I hate race swapping. Like, I hate it.
Well, me too. I'll give you another example that isn't even a race swap, but this was something that I think people kind of laughed at, but they didn't realize that Viola Davis was right. When The Woman King came out and she said, if you don't go see this, they're not going to keep making movies like this with black female leads. She was 100% right, but the part she was missing was they need to quit putting black women and men in crappy movies like this that nobody wants to fucking see.
I agree.
See, that's the big problem there, and it goes all along with everything you guys are saying, is sooner or later, something's got to break. It doesn't matter if every black person protests about a role. Sooner or later, you're going to get to the black person who is going to take the role, right? It's just inevitable.
Where's the movie about Frederick Douglass?
Yeah.
Like it's not like there aren't amazing black roles.
Well, I was going to
be
say, because
written.
I would love to see that movie. By
I
the
actually
way.
have something to wrap this up. I used to work with a guy, and I talked to him once in a while, who used to be my writing partner, who happens to be black. And one thing he would gripe about all the time is it was so easy for him to come in and pitch an idea where he could race swap a character. But he would say they say they want to hear, you know, the black man's or the black woman's voice from the black perspective. He says that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
He goes, I got a half a dozen fucking scripts right here, original scripts from the black voice, from a black perspective, and they don't want to give him the time of fucking day. But if I said, come in, I got an idea on how to make Captain America black, they'd be like, let's hear it.
Right.
You know, that's the way they are. So it's them, the ones at the top that you guys are talking about, that we have to make change. And the only way we can do that is by not going to see these movies.
Now, there's one person we haven't heard from real quick before. Badger, you got to get going.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I have something to do.
So we
Happy
can
birthday,
outro
Robert.
you. So we
What?
can outro you. So we can outro you. Everybody, what do you have coming up this week? Tell everybody where they can find you.
It's the
Just
Angry Badger.
Film Threat tomorrow, and then Badgercast, all the things. Yeah, make sure. Happy birthday, Robert. Check us out on Film Threat tomorrow. And yeah, Matt, I can't wait to see you as Black Panther. You should. You're right. Just take the job.
Wakanda forever.
Do it. It's all about the.
Hey, if they make the offer, man.
Go ahead. No, I'm with DA. Come on, both sides. I don't want black.
There you
states.
go.
Do the right thing.
There we go.
Bye, guys.
I love you.
I think you can play
Job,
MLK,
man.
no problem.
Now I want to hear what Platoon and Robert Meyer Burnett have to say. Platoon, where
Yeah.
are you on this?
I'm going to apologize first of all because I forgot that you guys changed your clocks, which is why I turned up an hour late. I
No
thought that was
problem.
the start of the show, but no, we've been going for ages. Yeah, for the actor's point of view, I think it's unwise to ever assume that any actor shares your principles. That's one thing. Most actors are most workers in any role will say, A, is the money good? B, do I think I could do a good job at this? And C, will I do the best job of all my competitors? And usually people's answers to all of those questions is yes, yes, and yes. And as long as those three answers are yes, you go for it. It's not your question. And I don't imagine most actors particularly think about the political consequences of race swapping a character like Snape. I think they just think that's an incredible role. I'd be very lucky to get it. And of course, I'm going to say yes. And I don't particularly hold it against them for doing that. It's perfectly natural. Everyone would do that. I would do that. And I actually, have the voice for it. I don't know about this guy. I could be a villain. Just sign me up, Hollywood. I'll be the Voldemort in the turban on the back of the guy's head and just speak. So that's one thing. Also, like on Snape's characterization, I mind race swapping more when it comes to, say, like an historical docudrama type thing. When you race swap characters in, say, Wolf Hall or the sequel, then
Or
that
Achilles.
strains against, or Achilles. That strains against historical legitimacy, and the point of your thing is supposed to be creating as realistic a recreation of that period of history as possible. So race swapping in that situation is pretty crap, and it damages the artwork. I understand the arguments about creating more good, unique black characters for unique black actors, and I think that's a really worthwhile thing to do. When it comes to Snape, I'm not a particularly big fan of the decision to race swap him, but trying to cast my mind back to everything I know about the character, I don't know that it does a huge amount of damage to that character to have him race swapped. Certainly not if they're going to update the setting of the thing, which of course was written in the 90s, and massive demographic change has happened since then. And if this show now takes place in the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, I think it's plausible enough that a teacher at a school like Hogwarts might maybe one of them be a black man. If it happens to be Snape, it happens to be Snape. Would it be better if it wasn't the case? Probably yes. Do I mind massively? Not a huge amount. And yeah, there are other instances where you could have cast black actors in the roles for some of the kids, for example, and I don't doubt they'll do that as well. So I guess I'm just not that vexed. And I don't know how much of the audience will be either, because I don't know how much of the general audience is very tuned into the kinds of conversations that you guys have been having up until this point. I think most people will tune in either unaware or undecided, and they will watch the show because it's Harry Potter. And if the character is shit and has been changed and made terrible, that's when they'll mind. But if it's still the same character, same plot, same characterization, I suspect most people will just overlook the fact that this new guy happens to be black. They'll just note it and move on.
Well, Platoon won't when you race swap the character in a series like this, you will also start having to change the dialogue. How would you have people talking to him about mudbloods in comparison to his? You see what I'm saying? It will start changing the context, which means you start changing the character, which means you start changing the story. No.
Not necessarily. I mean, that all depends on whether they do choose to change the dialogue. And I don't know that they will yet. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I think it's almost a little bit like the inverse of that thing when left-wing people said, oh, J.K. Rowling is anti-Semitic because the goblins in Harry Potter are supposed to be Jews. And all they're doing is self-reporting in that situation because they're saying, in their minds,
that's what
goblins are
they
Jews.
Right.
A similar dynamic comes in when you start saying, well, because Snape is black, how can they start talking about mudbloods? Well, the only association being made between black people and mudbloods is the person who makes that link to begin with without seeing the dialogue. I don't see any reason why they would need to change it. If they do change it, then of course there's something to criticize. But until they change it, I don't really have a criticism.
Okay, that makes sense. What about you, Robert? Happy birthday, by the way.
Well, thank you. Well, having come in, I see that you're talking about two things. Both I think are interesting. One being conservative or Republican in Hollywood, and then this other about race swapping. To me, I'm more along the lines of Platoon. When it comes to race swapping, it really depends how well the character is written. When Jeffrey Wright was playing Felix Leiter in the Daniel Craig Bond movies, I don't think anyone batted an eye because Jeffrey Wright was great as Felix Leiter, and Felix Leiter had been portrayed in the series by Never Say Never Again. Bernie Casey played him, but that was not an official Eon production. So I don't think anybody cared because Jeffrey Wright was great in the role. I think what's interesting when you have a successful series of 8 movies that are iconic, one of the most successful franchise series ever, and you take someone like Alan Rickman, who is indelible in that role, and then you're going to change him, what you're doing is you're immediately drawing attention to the character, and you're putting front and center that we're now going to make this a black man. Now, you can't help but think, okay, the way the character is written in the novels, what we are doing is we are putting, rightly or wrongly, people are going to think we're putting the color of that actor first. When really I would say that nobody really ever does that. Actors screen test. And when it comes down to a high profile show like a Harry Potter TV series, the actor who gets that role has got to be very, 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 very good. And they've chemistry read these people, and they know that actor can crush that role. Nobody is in a show as high profile as Harry Potter. There are no affirmative action hires.
Yeah, I'm not doubting his ability.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I would imagine it'll be a problem up front, but I bet you that actor will win everybody over, which is because if he didn't, that's a huge problem for the show. For the show of it all. Now, I think it's kind of odd in that particular role because what you're doing is you're encumbering your show with baggage out of the gate because you're and you can't help, the audience can't help but think. I mean, I was going to say to Badger, Haley Bailey as Ariel was great in that role. And the movie did make almost $600 million worldwide. Yes, it was. And I understand what Disney was trying to do, but she's a great singer. And they did move we're no longer in the North Atlantic, we're in the Caribbean, so they did give us a reason to do that. And she really was terrific in that.
Yeah, but terrific has nothing. I mean, in there, I would have to disagree with you. Yes, she's terrific. What does the talent have to do with it? We're talking about a story. When I was reading the headlines, they were talking about the fact that they're creating this. No, I was taking.
No, it's a Hans Christian Andersen. It's a weird.
Correct. It is. It's talking about a Dutch story, if I'm correct. It's Dutch. Yeah. A Dutch story, right? But when we're talking about the Harry Potter, I look at the damage that they're going to do. Are they trying to build a new base of fans? Because the fans that I've known since I was little, where they have not only Alan Rickman in their mind, but they have the characters in their mind.
Yeah.
Think about this, guys. Reacher.
Yep.
He's 6'5". He's built like a brick shit house, right? People weren't happy about Tom Cruise playing that role because it wasn't accurate to the book, right? So you can say Tom Cruise, he's a brilliant actor. He's a star. He's going to nail it. That's a separate issue, And I said before, you're not going to get in the door unless you're a really, really fine actor. But the point is when they send that casting out, right? What is the physical description of Severus Snape?
Yeah.
Right. He's a sallow-skinned man with black hair. Right. I know there's a little bit more to that, right? But because I've been in that position. When you look at you'll get turned down because they're like, and I can tell you this, I had it multiple times. I was turned down because I'm 6'3" and 230 pounds, right? I cannot play certain roles. And believe it or not, I know you guys might not have noticed this, but I'm a white guy and I'm from the UK. and so when you're looking at the Severus Snape, they put that character out. So did they change the character description? Did they put it out to say this is going to be cast in an African-American role or a black role? Okay. So if they did, then what they are doing is they're not going for the best actor overall, right? They're not doing that. They're saying this actor has to be this, and within this framework, we will get the best actor, right? So again, what we said earlier on is, are they changing it at the higher level? It's got nothing to do with the actor, I don't believe. And, I do understand it. I do understand the mentality of saying, well, you should stand up. There's a bunch of roles that I've turned down because I disagreed with personally. Like I had an issue with. But that, again, like you said, I think Platoon said it, is that don't anticipate that everyone has the same morals that we do, right? That's the first thing. So you're going to go and take it. But that role, I'd love to know when the casting, and I'm sure we can get hold of it, when casting went out, what were they looking for? Had they made a decision to say 20%, 30%, whatever the quota?
Oh, the DEI quota, yeah,
is DEI, right? And then that's a different conversation, right?
Yeah,
like we're not hypothesizing, right?
But the thing that's crazy to me is this is a TV show, right? It's going to be several episodes. These aren't movies, so we're going to have a lot of like character development. There's going to be a lot of plot development, things like that.
There's season per book.
Other characters in this show that they could have race swapped, and nobody batted an eye, because not everybody read the books, not everybody even memorized all of the movies. So they took a minor character like another teacher, perhaps, right, that we don't have a close affiliation with, and decided that character is going to be black. Again, this is a TV show. We'll probably see that character over and over. That would have been a better choice, because it's like, okay, that's fine. I mean, no one knows this character that well anyway. But to take a character like Snape, that, besides the fact that Alan Rickman played him, is a very popular character in pop culture, and he has a very specific look. And for them to cast a black guy for that was some dumbass shit that was made at the top.
Yep.
And my whole point is as an actor, I agree. They should not take the role. They should not, in an ideal world, right? But when you're like a C-level actor, maybe B-level.
I saw him in the London Games movie. He was a good actor.
If someone offers you the role of a lifetime, it's kind of like, yeah, I can stand on my principles and
But can you complain later?
Bills some other way.
Okay, But can you
at some point in time, they got to stop taking the roles.
Can you complain later, verbal? Can you complain? Like, if this gentleman takes the role, right? Can he then come out next year and say, you know what, there are not enough original black roles in the films? Wouldn't he then be part of the process?
Well, I don't know if he.
Look what happened to John Boyega. He got an original black character, and he still got screwed over.
Yeah, what he can't say is, there's not enough, and it forces people like me to take these roles sometimes, because there's put it on the studios.
I agree with the studio's fault. I'm with you there, 100%.
The studios are the ones with the money, and they're the ones who are making these decisions.
100%. All right, let's take some.
I just wanted to comment on the whether you're a conservative or a Republican in Hollywood. You're absolutely right, by the way. I mean, this is I think a huge problem. I think it's a huge problem in America. I think part of the reason we can't talk to one another, I get dinged by people every single day.
Oh yeah.
That know that I am more of a classical left-leaning liberal. People ask me, why are you friends with all these other people that don't think like you do? Why do you know conservative people? Why are you friends with Republicans? Why do you go on all these shows? I get it every day. By the way, all from the left. Yeah. All from the left.
Well, maybe I should come on your show and give you crap. Why are you talking to all the lefties, damn it?
Well, but no, but it's I find it really disheartening, because traditionally the arts have always attracted more of the misfits. Conservatives don't go into the arts as much, because going into the arts is crazy. it's dreamers and artists, or it's not, it's if you're a conservative, you're a conservative. The last thing you're going to do is do something unconservative by pursuing a career in the arts. Why not be a doctor? Why not be a lawyer? Why not do something where you can go to school, get a degree, and go into a profession? There is no, my mother has been saying to me, don't I want to do something for 36 years? She's been saying, get out of the movie business. Why are you doing this? Why do you do this to
You really
yourself?
think that's true though? I've been conservative my entire life.
I'm not saying that conservatives can do whatever they want, but I'm saying
Right.
traditionally the arts themselves as a profession.
But why do you
Van
think
Gogh
they
was
do
a
it?
poor pauper painting. He didn't have a choice. He wanted to paint.
But-
And it is inherently unconservative to go into the arts.
But why do you think what Matthew was saying earlier, where conservatives do not support film? Like I thought Angel Studios and all those independent studios would be
Well,
like
no. Well, there
breaking
are.
down-
Hang on a second. No, I was just talking about people.
No, I know you're talking about people, but I was
there is a prejudice in Hollywood against conservative thought.
But was it always that way? No.
And Republicans. It depends where in Hollywood that you're at. I think like financiers, if you're a captain of industry, you're traditionally skewing more conservative because you're dealing with money. And you have to. And the thing about Hollywood, like when you get on a Hollywood set, it's like when you're actually, I'm talking about on a set, like literally shooting. You have you've got blue collar workers, white collar workers, but most people still skew. We're all carnival barkers. We're all people that ran away to the circus. So there's always been a place for LGBTQ. There's always been a place for misfits. But when you're dealing with nowadays people like James Woods, an Academy Award caliber actor who has a 40-year, 50-year career, and suddenly a guy like him can fall from favor because he's dating young girls and being a conservative openly. And then suddenly, it doesn't matter whether you're a great actor anymore. You don't think the way we think, so you're ostracized. So no one knows he was a producer on Oppenheimer, which is ridiculous. And the fact is, it's immature and infantilized to not be able to speak to people that you might have political disagreements with. Adults can talk to everybody.
Of course you can. I mean,
And-
that's
and
why
we-
we have great conversations.
That's what you described, Rob. That's what leftism is. All right, they hate and they divide. That's the whole problem with it. They hate and they divide. Like you, I watch your stuff or I read your stuff all the time on X. And I mean, you get absolutely shitted on. And it's like, yo, Rob's just giving his opinion on certain things. And I don't see a problem with it, but you're getting absolute hate coming from every angle. And it's weird. And it's like, let this man have his opinion.
With my entire YouTube thing is like, everybody's got a story to tell. You got to listen.
Matt has a point that the right does not support the right. And
That's
that's
right.
kind of where the whole story with James Woods, and that's why I brought up in the background too, was because he was a part of this. You didn't see anybody stand up and say, no, James should be able to get out there. This movie won Best Picture. He's one of the producers. No, he didn't. He stayed out of it because he knew him being a part of it would be nothing but, Trump supporting actor turned producer, part of Oppenheimer, and that would probably hurt the
The
film's
fact
chances.
that he stayed out of it shows what kind of a man he is. And that's why
It does.
support him.
But it also
That was
supports
amazing.
the point that Matt was making, is that nobody could, now you don't see any of these actors that he's talking about saying, guess what? I faked taking the jab and you still hire me. Guess what? I'm fine, or anything like that, or saying anything close to it to kind of support other people like him. That's the problem, is the other group will point it out and they'll come out and attack you. That's for sure. But the right will stay silent when it comes to supporting
you know what
you.
else? In addition to that,
That's a problem.
In addition to that, and thank you for saying that, because it's absolutely right. In addition to that, what they will do, when right-leaning people get movies, they hire the left. They hire the left because if you have been knocked from, look, the article for me came out in 2010. In the Huffington Post that called me a conservative, and I lost my agent, I lost my manager, and I stopped getting the phone call. I didn't work for a year until.
Sorry that happened to you, man.
Yeah, but it was the OG. I was the OG getting that done, because what had happened was, and this is what I want to talk about, a little bit more of the overall problem. So the reason why it wasn't, the industry has always been leftist, right? It just has. You're absolutely right.
The arts.
The arts have been leftist, but here's the important thing to note, is you cannot write a script unless you are pursuing the truth, right? The truth in the story, the truth in the characters, the character arcs. They cannot be pulled out of your ass because it doesn't work. They don't work as a coherent whole. And people will look and they'll say, I don't understand this. This isn't real life. This isn't true. Right? So even when you're writing fantasy, there has to be a truth to it. And what we've seen, and it really got bad from around the late 2000s into the 2010s, I don't know what you call it, the 2010s, is that you started seeing people just shove their ideology into these roles, into the storylines. They're no longer coherent. People are like, I don't know what this means anymore. These characters, you get the rise of the Mary Sue, right? Like all the things that are wrong with screenwriting is because of this. It's the abandonment of the pursuit of truth. Okay, and that's a major issue. So you're not only seeing it with the abandonment of the pursuit of truth in, I want to know what you think about things because I might be wrong and I'm open to different ideas, right? I'm open to different thoughts. Now what they're doing is that it's just shut down. You can't have a James Woods on set because you don't want him to say anything that might question your truth, right? Not the truth, your truth, right? And that might shake the foundations of who you are. And you've set out your stall, right? Like this is who you are. These are the things you believe. And for us, we've just heard it on here. We just had a discussion about whether or not roles should be race swapped or what. And it's okay. Like no one's in a corner crying, right? Needing a safe space, right? Because we're okay with it. We're strong enough.
Because we're adults. Because we're open-minded too at the same time. We can agree to disagree or agree to agree.
George, I'm open to someone changing my mind, right?
Absolutely right.
Because to me, I believe that I want to get the truth, and I might be wrong, right? And if I get a compelling argument against what I believe, I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to change my stance.
100%.
They can't. So this is the problem, that if you were a leftist that still pursued the truth, which great screenwriters and great actors and great playwrights like David Mamet, for example, if you are pursuing that truth, you are now anathema. Like you're gone. You're a right winger, right? Because you do have an argument. Like you stand up in that boardroom in HBO and you go, why are we changing this character? Because you know what's going to happen now, that we've got to, and which is very true, by the way. Why did Harry Potter's mom not date him? Now there's another problem, right? Like you got to make sure you got to change the writing to make it so that it wasn't about his color, right? When that was not a problem before, right? So now you
That's
can't.
what I was saying. All the changes you're going to start having to make for every character that you change from the story starts changing the core story itself. At least,
yeah, but nobody's going to stand up, George, in that room when they're getting paid a shit ton of money, and everybody else around there will call them racist.
How about one person says we need a great story, and this is going to fuck it all up and confuse it?
I don't think that was their concern, right? So I'm pretty sure at no point in their casting decision was it ever discussed what will the audience make of lines of dialogue that will now maybe have to be changed or not. I suspect what the calculation was, okay, let's look at Harry Potter's current core demographic. What is it? Well, it's very middle class. It's very white. And it's quite female. Those are the hardcore, diehard Harry Potter fans. Upper middle class to upper class, white, liberal women. Those are the ones. But if we're trying to market this, and it's a weird thing to say of one of the most successful book franchises of all time, but I'm pretty sure what they were doing is the traditional 4-quadrant thing. What they want to do is to say, well, we are also marketing this an international audience, particularly an American audience. This has historically been an incredibly white cast of characters, and people might not resonate with it if it doesn't seem to reflect the modern world in the way that maybe it didn't when it was written in the 1990s. So let's have a little bit more color and a little bit more diversity, and we'll hit the 4 quadrants, and it'll be even more successful than it otherwise would have been. I would have thought the success of the earlier iterations of the franchise disproved the suggestion it needed those changes, but people don't like looking at basic facts like that, so they like to make changes because it shows they're doing something. And I think that was basically it. I don't think that's a political reason. It was just an economic one. They think black characters appeal to black audience, and that's good for us. So great.
Then how did the original succeed? I'm just saying, to me, it always is the story. If the story was great, if the acting was great, if it was shot well and it made money, that's the
problem
formula.
is
Why
they
mess
think
with it?
people care as much about race as they do. So, you know, they live in this bubble and they think that everybody is all up into the racism. You know, oh, it's about race. It's about, you know, DEI stuff. And it's like, nah, we just want good stories. At least for me. I don't know how everybody else feels. I just want a good story, and I can give a damn what color the character is. I don't care anything about that. So they think that, you know, because it's projection. Oh, you know, this story would be so much better if there was more people of color in it. So let's put more people of color. Now it's a better story. No, the story was just fine. All you needed to do was just do an adaptation. What we are trying to get to is as close to the original as we can.
Right.
That's
with
what
everything,
we want.
with everything.
With any adaptation of anything, get as close to the original as humanly possible. When we saw Lord of the Rings, all right, the Fellowship of the Rings. When I saw that for the first time, I was like, this is what, you know, J.R.R. Tolkien, this is what he had in his mind when he was writing this story out. This is what Middle Earth looked like. You know, that's what I want. I want to get inside the author's head and see exactly what he saw or she saw when they were writing this. And the thing is that J.K. Rowling has the drawings. She's very descriptive, so we can almost visualize it. But now we get to see it fully fleshed out on a TV show or on a movie. That's what we want as fans. And when they don't give us that, and then they try to pander to us with this stupid race swap, it's like, okay, you guys really don't care about being faithful to the original. You don't care. All you care about is checking boxes or pandering to an audience, and you don't really even understand the audience. This shows me how disconnected Hollywood is. It's because they don't really understand the audience for the material that they're writing. And then they go out there and then they pull this racist crap where it's like, oh, we're going to put this character's skin color as preeminent above everything. It's like, no, we don't care about his skin color. What we care about is the character. And by changing the skin color, you're making us focus on the skin color, which is a stupid thing to do.
Totally.
You know, like, so at this point, I feel like they have to get out of this mindset of, you know, what they think and start going back to the fans. Listen to the audience that built Harry Potter up in the first place. Harry Potter wouldn't have been the franchise it was if it wasn't for the audience. Listen to the audience now. The audience is telling you that we do not want this, okay? We are not about this race swapping. Get as close to J.K. Rowling's original vision as you can. You got to hit. But if you don't do it, you're going to fail and flop, and this thing is going to go belly up. And I honestly, again, I'm a Potterhead. I hate this with the passion of 1,000 suns. I am pissed. I want them to get this thing right because there's a lot in those original books that did not translate over into the movies that I would love to see. But if they don't get this right, I mean, I'm done. I'm not even watching it. But I will talk shit about it. Best believe I will talk about it.
Never ever have guessed that I'd never have guessed that you were passionate about this subject. So
I'm sorry.
No way.
No, it's great. I love to hear it. I agree with almost all of it. It's just the bit I slightly disagree with, I think, is getting closer to J.K. Rowling's original, or to J.K. Rowling's head, because J.K. Rowling herself, I think this came up earlier in the conversation, J.K. Rowling has herself said, well, she doesn't mind if characters are race swap. She never said that Hermione had to be white, etc. So I don't necessarily know that she's the right person to refer to on that subject, but you're absolutely right about the audience being the right people to refer to. But that kind of goes back to the point we were talking about, you know, the reason for this left-right split in the way that Hollywood functions, in the sense that we've kind of abandoned all trust and faith in the audience being the best judge of what truth is, to use the earlier formulation. It used to be the case, I think, that while your creatives were very passionate, left-wing, tended to be quite ideological, but also creatively brilliant and all the rest of that stuff, the people in charge and the people who made the decisions tended to be hard-nosed money men. And the hard-nosed money men were much more inclined to say, well, probably best to lean on the side of the audience, right? Because they're the ones who are going to pay for this movie. The problem since then has been that a lot of these hard-nosed money men have either kind of gone a bit woke and left themselves, or they've been captured by a system in which the rules of finance have changed to make sure that they can't just say, well, the audience doesn't like this, therefore we won't do it. Now they have to appeal to investment houses that will give them all of the money on condition that they have diversity requirements. Now you have all of these risk analyses that come through with the 4-quadrant appeal to your audiences, and the hard-nosed money men who used to be on the right making the good decisions are now sitting there thinking, the audience is going to fucking hate it, but if I don't do it, then I'm not going to get the money we need to get the project off the ground, so what am I supposed to do? And so you no longer have that great little balance between impassioned and brilliantly creative, but slightly moronic left-wing creatives, and not very creative, but very cynical and very competent business right-wingers making decisions for them. Now it's all just this mess of passionate ideologues capturing institutions setting rules, and the rules then being allowed to play out in all of their weird, contradictory ways, creating messes like the one we're discussing.
But the studios can't afford to think like this anymore, man. Like, again, I'm trying to look at this from a business standpoint. This makes zero sense. There are literally most leftists hate J.K. Rowling because of her stance on trans issues, right? So they were not going to watch this anyway. So like I said, what you decide to alienate the other half that we're going to watch it by making a stupid casting decision? Like, none of this makes sense to me. And best believe, if they're doing a Harry Potter show, this is going to be expensive.
Yeah, I would figure Game of Thrones money. Game of Thrones money.
It's going to cost more than that.
Really? All right, let me answer a few subs and then a few super chats, and then we'll pick up. I think Matthew has to leave now. Do you want to leave before I get to them?
No, you go.
Okay, cool. Eric K, King of the Mods for $2. Snape better have some wet Jerry curls going on.
Like I said, if you're gonna make him black, man. I want to see afro. I want to see platform shoes. Like, I want him to come in there like Shaft.
Oh my God. Mark Daly for $5. You think this is bad? Wait till Bezos casts Naguri Gawa as the next Bond. I think it's going to be Cavill. I don't know. I think it's going to be Cavill, but I get what you're saying. Naguri Gawa. Oh my God. And Doctor Who is now, isn't it dead? They just
it's dead.
They just shut down the studio, the mill, the VFX studio for it.
They just dropped the trailer for season 2. Naguri Gawa was season 2.
His final season.
Yeah, it's final. But I don't think there's not a 3 in after he left, correct?
No, he's done. He quit before they even canceled the show. So
the Cavill as Bond thing will be a really interesting sign, though, as to how much these things have changed, because you've got the most direct thing possible, basically, a poll on Twitter by the guy who owns the studio saying who should be the next Bond. And if the audience all says Cavill and he goes with Cavill, then something quite big and important has shifted, because we're now back to the stage where we need to make money. We can't rely on investment houses with ESG metrics. We have to have the audience on side, and the audience wants this, so give it to them. And if the usual answer comes back, well, we can't because he's difficult to work with, because he's caused problems on set, as complained about by lots of anonymous people, then nothing has changed. But I'm kind of getting the sense that some things are beginning to shift.
Hopefully so. Insta power for that Swedish krona, I believe. 43.21 Swedish krona. Common sense and truth rise again. Yes, they do, my friend. I hope you're still here. Thank you for that. And Jim Alaska was here a minute ago. Hi, Jim. How you doing? Always great to see you, my good friend. Red French Moon for €5. Hail, not to defend J.K. Rowling. Is it Rowling or Rolling? I always get it confused. Is it Rolling?
I think it's rolling.
Rolling.
Yeah, I think it's rolling.
Hail, not to defend J.K. Rowling, but do we know if she actually has creative control like Oda? Oda for One Piece. On the movies, I read she only had consultation role. No, she's an executive producer. There are 3 different articles that I've read about that, and they say that she has creative control. One says that she will be consulted for every creative decision, and another says that she's an executive producer. So make of that what you will. But thank you, Red French.
Loads in the movies, right? Like, she insisted on most of the casting decisions, and they all had to be high-profile British actors and all the rest of it. She played a very key role in determining who was going to play who, and she was very involved in that. I can't imagine her stepping back for the next big run of production.
Yeah.
I agree. That's why, I mean, as an executive producer and someone of Rowling, the creator, I think she's going to have as much control as Oda. The only difference with Oda is, which is one of the reasons I love One Piece, what he created in the manga and the anime, he does it in the film. He doesn't change it like, oh, I meant this, I meant this, I meant no. You get the same thing, but relayed in television. Okay, thank you, Red French Moon. Joe D for $20. Super sticker. I think it was I think I had it here. It was a samurai Shiba dog with a #1 flag. Thank you for that, Joe D. Really appreciate it. The Krigler Show. Adam Krigler is here. Smash that like button. Hey, we have almost 1,200 people here. We only have 494 likes. Come on, it doesn't cost you anything. It helps with the algorithm. Need to get that back in. Ever since I put the woke monologues up, YouTube is, I don't know what. They have slowed my channel for a little bit. Could just be coincidental. Please hit the like button. Eric K for another $2. I'm waiting for the Trans Asian Shaka Zulu remake. Oh, straight to the point. Well, maybe they're going to change Hagrid. He'll be gender fluid now. Thank you, Eric K. Castle Gray Skull for $2 Canadian. Happy birthday to Robert Meyer Burnett. You forgot Matthew Marsden.
To you. Happy birthday to you.
All right. It was also Matthew's birthday this week. So happy birthday to Matthew.
Thank you.
And then we got Skiz Spivak, Esquire. Great to see you, Skiz. He gifted 20 towards the Giant Slayer membership. Thank you. Please, everybody, go thank Skiz. Please. No, keep the applause going, Skiz. Always great. Big supporter. It helps keep the lights on. I really appreciate you, my friend. Bless you. And then we have Justin Martins for $10. Maybe they'll redeem themselves at the final hour and put Snape in whiteface. Oh.
See, the jokes start coming out. Then they start. Then you get the jokes, man.
Yeah. Black Kane for $5. Naguri Gawa should play Lupin in the HP show. Please have the HIV analogy named Remus be played by an effeminate African immigrant. Okay. Mexican Iron Man, our intrepid producer, who we've missed for a long time, for $20. If we don't get the leftist demonic Democrat retards out of the movie making process, society will continue to collapse into degeneracy. I have found more love, understanding, and acceptance since I left the left. Well, was that when you left Home Depot? When I picked you up from there? I'm just curious. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. I appreciate it with all my love. All right. Now, to wrap this up, I'm going to ask one final question. There are reports that Janet McTeer is in negotiations to play McGonagall. Any thoughts real quick as we leave this
She was
subject?
in, I liked her. She was in Ozark, and she was really good. I liked her.
Good choice.
She's a good actress.
Really good.
Cool. So as we move on, since we were talking about Bond, World of Real, Verbal and I talked about this on Wednesday, but I'll bring it up with all of us here. Because the second choice for director was Christopher Nolan. So now people are starting to say, will Nolan direct Bond? And I went and checked that Nolan's given several interviews since 2012 that he's always wanted to direct a Bond film. What do y'all think? Good choice?
The best.
I think so. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Although I would say Inception and Tenet are Bond movies.
See, he has said in one of the interviews, he says he's afraid, he's ashamed that a lot of his movies follow the Bond formula. He has admitted that. My only concern is I've loved everything of his except for Tenet. I can't stand Tenet. That happens. You don't love everything everybody does.
But it looks good.
It
looks
good.
like a Bond movie. All the great locations and the. But look, I've been talking about Bond. I'm a huge James Bond fanatic. I have been since I was a little kid. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of building a 1/8 scale Wet Nelly, the Lotus Esprit sub from Spy Who Loved Me. It's great. It's like this big. Everything's awesome. But the thing about the Bond franchise, the real question is not whether Nolan should direct it. And let's face it, he should. He's one of our greatest filmmakers. The question is, how does James Bond fit into the modern age? How do you make a Bond film that's both the spirit of what Ian Fleming wrote? Because as much as I like Daniel Craig as Bond, Casino Royale is a great movie, but they moved Bond into this different space. Mm-hmm. And while you could say Skyfall made $1 billion, they were emulating Dark Knight. You know, they tried to turn Silva into the Dark Knight, and they didn't. Bond has sort of lost his way. And what you really have to do is, how do you reinvent? Can you even say that he fights for the crown anymore?
Why couldn't you say that? It's Bond.
Well, I know. But what I'm saying is the same thing that we're talking about here. James Bond, as M said in GoldenEye, is a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War. Right, but how do you, in this day and age, how do you make a James Bond movie play in 2025, 26, 27?
Where you go to jail for not using pronouns? As we covered before you came on.
It's not, but it's not even about that. It's how do you make the character credible? In this day and age, I mean, how do you even?
Fantasy.
It is, but there's still, unless, and I don't agree with making it a period piece and readapting the books, because Bond began as a contemporary figure in the 60s and has always moved through. I think the real question is, what is James Bond today? What is the character? And if you can crack that, and you can figure out a way to keep what Ian Fleming was writing and keep the spirit of the character, that's the real problem with the franchise. Because
why change anything though, Robert? Why change anything? He's a spy. You think spies are politically correct? You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
but I
why-
think the world of spycraft is completely different. The world is completely different. The world is asymmetric. When Bond was created by Ian Fleming, coming after on the heels of World War II, you were in the midst of the Cold War, and there was basically two rival superpowers, and everybody knew their place. Nowadays, who's Bond fighting? Who's Bond fighting for? And is it just the crown?
How about we just have him fight the CCP, great enemy?
Which, I mean, he's done before. You know, Tomorrow Never Dies, and there were elements. I mean, Michelle Yeoh was a CCP
agent.
But then the thing is, how's that going to play in China?
Yeah, didn't they do that? They made it North Korea in one of the more recent Pierce Brosnan ones.
In Die Another Day.
It's a fairly safe way of getting around the China problem if you want to sell your movie in China and you want to have Chinese-like villains, but without pissing off
Yeah,
Chinese.
I mean, in Captain America: Brave New World, China doesn't exist.
The Japanese.
It's Japan. Yeah.
I mean, that was the weirdest thing in the world. But no, I think that's a fundamental problem with the Bond franchise.
Well, we have some people in the audience are saying set it in the 50s or 60s, kind of like reboot it.
We already had 60s Bond films. We had 6 Bond movies set in the 60s.
I agree.
The appeal of that, though, is that you would circumvent a lot of the problems that you're highlighting, not least of which is that we already have modern James Bond type characters that have been created in and for the modern day. You've already got a Jason Bourne, you've got whatever Tom Cruise's character in Mission Impossible is, you've got Reacher. All of these are basically Bond type movies, but they have been written within the modern context. And James Bond's old-timey appeal of its slight corniness, its cheesiness, its unabashed, I guess, patriotism, and also its choice of gadgets and like that sort of gear porn aspect, all I think would be way easier to service if you went back and made it more of a period piece, because then you've got an excuse to have the goofy gadgets like the magic watches that have supersonic powers and the cars that turn into submarines. Because if you tried to update that for modern days, as some of the Craig movies did, all you've got left with is boring, tedious cyber hackers looking at computer screens, typing in ones and zeros, and nobody wants to see that because it's not sexy.
Or
how about fighting the EU? How about fighting the EU itself in the Crown?
That would be fun. He would definitely lose.
A bunch of leftists. He's got to like stop all the leftist globalists.
The World Economic Forum. That would be.
There you go.
That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem is that the villains of the world are now everywhere.
Yeah.
Who do you fight? Where do you
Matthew's got to go real quick. Sorry, Robert, didn't mean to interrupt you. Matthew, thank you so much, my good friend, for showing up. Please tell everybody what you have coming up, because you stream every day.
I do. Yeah, I've been streaming like every other day, but today I'm actually doing one at 8 o'clock. It's going to be 8 o'clock Central Standard Time if anyone wants to drop on. And it's actually a theological one I'm doing today, a theological stream at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I'm going to be because there's a lot of fighting online between the different denominations of Christians. And obviously, it's just a completely different, like, going from Hollywood to like the different denominations of Christians. So I'm going to be getting into that with a friend of mine who is an expert in it. So if you want to come across and watch that at 8 o'clock, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be. I'm going to answer your questions, or he's going to answer your questions as well. So
I hope everybody go check it out tonight. Matthew Marsden's channel. Go subscribe to him. Incredible human being. He stood on his principles. That is rare in today's world, and he's still here. He doesn't regret it. He's still fighting the good fight. And one day we're going to get him to tell us who was the actor. Ewan McGregor. Did I already say that? Guy?
No, but somebody did say it.
Really? In the chat or here?
Yeah. No, that's it. I'm out.
All right.
See you guys. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All righty. So we covered Harry Potter. What did y'all think about this week that Star Wars, the original film, actually hit Roku for a few days?
Wow, that was amazing. I didn't hear about apparently that channel's gone.
4 days and it disappeared.
That was a really dumb thing to do, but it was amazing.
Yeah, I was kind of sad about it because I couldn't figure out a way to record the damn thing.
Oh, I can get you a Blu-ray.
Really? Because I want the original. Yeah, it came out, and supposedly, and I didn't realize it till I read this. after I had seen it again, that it comes out on this channel called Cinema Box, like every other year. It lasts for like 2 or 3 days and then disappears. But it's the unaltered original.
You know what's weird, man, is I
don't care.
Have no connection to Star Wars anymore, man. Like not even the originals. Like I feel like Disney has literally killed my love of Star Wars.
That's
I look, I respect the original trilogy. I even gained respect for the prequels because of the Clone Wars series. It kind of, gave it a little bit more meat. But I just feel like overall, man, I'm done. Like it's kind of like, like when you're in a divorce and you know it's over. And you're just done, and you just want the paper signed, and you just want to leave. Like I feel like I'm at that point where I'm just done with Disney.
But you don't have any sentimental attachment. But you don't have any sentimental attachment or memories to the original.
I mean, see, that's the thing. I do. Look, I had all the action figures. I had the blankets. I had the lunch pill. I loved Star Wars, man. And you know what? And I defended it for as long as I could.
Right.
And then it got to the point where I'm like, I can't even defend it anymore. And then that's when I realized I was done.
I'm curious. I'm going to put up a poll in the chat after I ask you this. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm with you. I mean, Star Wars literally changed my life, and Star Wars was the first time that in the wake of Star Wars, there was a documentary about the making of Star Wars. And then there was a documentary with Empire as well. And it really brought home to me that it was possible that people did this for a living. And that was when I really realized I was 10 years old. It solidified the desire in me to make films, seeing and Star Wars itself. People forget what a game changer in terms of imagination on film. There was nothing remotely similar to Star Wars. There was nothing analogous to the film that had ever been made in history. And it was such, for me as a kid growing up with Star Trek, The Twilight Zone, Outer Limits. I love the Bond movies, the Planet of the Apes movies. I had seen Logan's Run the year before in the theater, and Logan's Run looks like it came out 30 years before Star Wars, even though they're a year apart. It was a monumental sea change in what was possible in Hollywood. And what came out the 5 years after Star Wars. I mean, that was 80, but Star Trek: The Motion Picture was a direct result of. Some people would think that wasn't great.
I'm talking about the Flash Gordon serial, the one before.
Yeah, but yes, I mean, I loved anything like that. But it was, I think the problem. I mean, it's like everything else. Once you have a corporation owning an IP, the very reason things get made is inverted to what it should be. Star Wars was made because one man wanted to pay homage to Flash Gordon. Couldn't get the rights, came up with his own thing, got a bunch of collaborators. They created technology that didn't exist. Disney does not know how to tell a story. Disney is a corporation. They don't know. They're supposed to hire creatives to service whatever IP they have to make money. But there's nobody at Disney that knows that. I mean, you could talk about like Dave Filoni and all those people, but I would dare say they're not even the best people to run Star Wars because they've forgotten that Star Wars was not about itself. Star Wars was Kurosawa. It was a riff on Joseph Campbell. Now you watch these shows like The Acolyte or you watch Ahsoka. I mean, it's all about, and it's about the animated version of Star Wars too. What story are they telling?
They don't know.
I agree. They don't know.
They don't know.
And
they're telling what they think George Lucas was trying to do. Here's the fundamental problem is George Lucas, in my opinion, was a maverick filmmaker that was just doing things different than what Hollywood was doing. George Lucas didn't like Hollywood. He wasn't a Hollywood guy.
And he was part of Coppola's American Zoetrope. I mean, remember, people forget. You go back and you watch THX 1138 and go, that's the same guy that made Star Wars just a few years later. I mean, it's insane.
But was great in that. I love that.
Think about it. Like George Lucas's storytelling is rooted in, like you were saying, Kurosawa, King Arthur, mythology, Joseph Campbell. And like, what does Hollywood know about that? What Hollywood knows is beat by beat storytelling. Okay, let's do what we always do, big time blockbusters. And they all kind of feel the same. Blockbuster movie making is kind of the same, in my opinion, at least as a fan from the outside looking in. Whereas George Lucas and Star Wars was something different, which is why it took the world by storm, because it was different than everything else that Hollywood had done before. It's not conventional, it's not standard, it's not paint by numbers. And so that's what Hollywood or Disney is trying to do now. And I don't think that they are aligned, philosophically. Like George was not doing what Hollywood is doing. And that's why this thing doesn't work. You need a filmmaker, you need a visionary, somebody that thinks beyond the box of Hollywood to make Star Wars work. And because you don't really have, like, Kathleen Kennedy is probably a just fine producer, but she's a Hollywood producer. She just does Hollywood stuff. She doesn't understand what George Lucas was trying to accomplish.
But how many do today?
Mysteries and mythologies, So the man that created Star Wars, who was outside of Hollywood and never really rocked with the Hollywood crowd, you're now trying to take over his franchise and do what he did. There's no way. You're not going to do what George
But how
Lucas
many?
did.
I mean, we also got to be fair though, because I remember what Star Wars was before Lucas got help, and it looked really bad. So I mean,
well,
Lucas,
no, but the vision, right? You still need
yeah,
a
the vision
visionary.
for sure. He had the vision, but he definitely.
That's what I'm saying.
It took a lot of villagers to make that happen. You know,
and you can have that. But you got to have that vision. Vision is the most important thing about George Lucas.
2 months ago, we covered the fact that Jennifer Salke, the boss of Amazon Prime Studios, said that she has no concern with films before 85, like none. Like she doesn't know most of them.
See, these are the people who are running shit now.
And she's the one who's running fucking Prime Studios.
Which is weird because all the great stories have their roots literally back to antiquity.
Because they were
and all of these stories come from the Greek and the Roman and Gilgamesh and Beowulf, and if you don't and all the other stories from around the world. One of the things we never talk about is, with all of our diversity, equity, and inclusion, do you think in India they're worried about diversity, equity, and inclusion?
No.
Do you think in Asia they're worried about? I mean, it's so weird that, like, when I sit down and watch. By the way, the Korean film industry is one of the most vibrant in the world. If you guys, whether it's science fiction, whether it's horror, whether it's crime thrillers, the Koreans are kicking ass. Have you ever sat down to watch an Asian film and thought, there's not enough white people in this? I'm not going to watch, I'm watching this Kurosawa movie and there's not one white samurai in the bunch.
Well, look at SS Rajamouli. I love SS Rajamouli's films, right? And he says his great one is going to be the Mahabharata. He's like, wants that to be his epic.
We don't even know what that is in the West.
Right, but he wants to do it like a four-picture deal, like a long 3 hours each, big epic.
It will be epic, but we forget here in this country that there is a world that nobody is paying attention to. 65% of Americans don't have passports.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the problem I think that we're having, and we're seeing it, is that Americans do not get out of their comfort zone. They don't even know what it's like to go to a foreign country. And I don't mean go see the sights. I mean, go to a pub.
I don't know.
In a country you've never been to before, and go meet people that you've never met. Sit down with somebody from a foreign land that you've never talked to before.
Of going to California is going to a foreign land today.
Well, going around America is there's different Americas everywhere, but we have a real, and to think that we have a diversity of storytelling. People are afraid. Like, I just did a show earlier today about this great blaxploitation box that's coming out from Shout.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
And they're putting it is everything from across 110th Street, Black Caesar and its sequel, getting some Fred Williams, two Pam Grier films. I mean, really? I mentioned blaxploitation, I don't know, a year ago, and somebody called me a racist.
Do they not understand
that I'm like, that's a genre.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of grew up with it. But it's just, we live in such.
But again, these are people who think like film started in 1990.
Yeah, just like Jennifer Salke. I couldn't believe she gave the interview. That's the thing, and she wasn't ashamed to. She was very upfront about it.
Is she going to tell you that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest isn't worth seeing? That Patton isn't worth seeing? That Lawrence of Arabia isn't worth seeing? Casablanca? I mean, this attitude is pervasive in Hollywood, and it's embarrassing.
But she lacks the history, the cinematic history, but it also seems she lacks the.
But by the way, Truck Turner is coming with
For
with
your next-
Michelle Nichols. Wait till you see.
wow.
if
You got
haven't seen
Michelle.
Truck Turner. Michelle Nichols has some.
Oh, she's amazing.
So
She is
good in that.
amazing.
Cannot wait.
But I want to hit on like what DA said too, though, man. Like, kind of going back to like for Hollywood now, it is paint by the numbers, right? They don't want to take risk, and they have a formula, and they think for some reason they think this formula still works, and it doesn't work, man. Like, I get why Marvel went the way it did, or the MCU. I get it. It's because they thought they had the winning formula, and all they had to do was keep repeating what they did, right? People literally caught on to that and despise it, right? And you know what they did? They didn't change it up. They stayed with that for what, 5-6 years after Endgame, or however long it's been. It's Hollywood doesn't have a creative problem. There's a lot of creative people. They just have a management problem, man. And I'm telling you,
They're not
people who are
hiring
running
them.
these studios that are screwing everything up. Because there's lots of talent in Hollywood that
I
aren't
believe
being
that.
used or being utilized.
Wait, they're being utilized because it doesn't.
No, they're not being utilized.
Yeah, they're not being. So they're
utilized
not
or
hiring
used.
the right people. Like the talent exists, but it's not being hired.
Yes, there's tons of
Right.
talent in Hollywood. Tons.
I would agree with that.
A lot
Well,
a lot of places in Hollywood are ending. They're closing up shop. My sound facility that I've been working out of for 20 years, I've been doing True Noir. They used to have plenty of work. There's no work in town. Western Costume, the biggest costume house in the world, is having problems.
That's crazy.
What about film developing? There's only one film house I think left in the country that actually develops film. It was,
Who uses film anymore?
Right, actually, Tarantino uses film, and
You'd be surprised. A lot more directors used film last year than they have in probably the last 15 years to a decade.
I just didn't
we
realize how
had
expensive it was.
like a half a dozen or better major films that used filmed like Twisters.
Well, it must be a novelty thing then, because most filmmakers aren't even using
but
film anymore.
No, they're not. But like some of them are starting to go back to it because you had this thing where, and I think Robert's talked about this before too, like for Horizon to make it look like film, what they did, and I guess this is not new, they've been doing this for a few other movies too, is they'll actually spit it out, the digital version, then they'll rescan that version that they spit out on film and back in so it looks like it was shot on film.
And then there's there's all it's
a
just
couple processes they do, but now that you've got like at least, like I said, at least a half a dozen or more Nosferatu, Saturday Night, Twisters.
How expensive
there was
is that,
more
though?
It's a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
a lot
Tom and
more
I have talked.
expensive.
It's about it depends. It's 250 by what I understand, and correct me anyone here if I'm wrong. The last time I had checked, it was $150,000 to $250,000 a minute.
Jesus,
to develop.
But it makes all the difference. I mean,
'Cause I wanted to make my
tried-
short film, and I was like, "Yeah, it's not going to happen for 15
Digital's
minutes."
gotten close, but it still just quite hasn't got to the point yet where I don't know if they without manipulation, but you know,
and I
some
get that.
directors-
And when you have movies like Maxine, right? Like that's a movie that should have been shot in film, straight up, like a movie like that. God, that movie should have been better. But I get if you're trying to do like a period piece and using film, but other than that, it just doesn't make financial
like
sense.
Nosferatu, it made all the difference, right? Because digital
Sure. Well,
can't
yeah, a movie like
capture
that, yeah.
those
well,
kind
the
of
thing about
shadows like
the
that.
thing about digital capture, I mean, you have 8K cameras, which
Yeah.
exceeds the resolution of film. It's not photochemical. You know,
well,
the
it's
thing
not
about
only that, it's the way it captures light, Robert. There's a difference. There is a difference, and people are starting to notice it because they're calling it like with the Marvel movies. They're like, well, they look the same as they do on television and movies. I'm like, yeah, because they use the same cameras. That's
well,
why.
you can light. It's really though about the fact that if you're using lots of green screen set extensions and things like that, you want to shoot in a certain way with a certain LUT that's going to allow you to have the most latitude with the footage that you're shooting. But the thing about photochemical isn't as stable, you know, and it's there's a lot longer post process with it, and usually even if you shoot photochemical, you're still finishing it digitally. There's very
that's
few
what they're
people that are
doing. Yeah.
cutting negative.
Well, that's what I mean, is that digital has kind of caught up with the quality that film is. So what they'll do is a lot of these guys are shooting on film, scanning that in, and then the post process is completely digital. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is like, even when you shoot on digital, like there's still areas where like there's people that will notice you still can't get the darks quite right like you could with film where it actually looked like ink black. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's why
digital cameras can see into the dark.
Exactly. See, so that's why I know, like, Eggers, for instance, shot, like, he shoots everything on film because he wants that rich black, inky black, which worked perfectly for Nosferatu, which is exactly what they did. They shot it on film, did all the post and digital, but yeah.
All right. I want to see what y'all think of this because we have 2 more things left and then we'll be wrapping up. A lot of did y'all see the new Thunderbolts teaser?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, we'll play it.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, because I saw a lot of people calling this the A24 teaser.
It's the A24 trailer.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Can everybody see it? Can everybody see it? Because the last couple of days, people were saying they couldn't see half of this. Okay, just make
see it.
There's something wrong.
The Avengers are not coming. Who will keep people safe?
That line, just very quickly, was that like something went wrong there, right? That was a bad take of that line.
Say that again. Sorry.
That line she just spoke, was that something was off about that? Did they cut out the middle of the line for the trailer? Or is it splicing? It's the intonation doesn't work. The Avengers are not coming.
Let's play it again and see.
That's actually from a court scene, like in the movie when she's talking to like senators, not court, but she's in front of Congress or something.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's play it again.
The Avengers are not coming. Who will keep people safe?
They just added an echo to the safe, so I think that's why it sounded different. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes! Yeah! It's not really selling me on it, but I've
The
heard
buzz for this though is quite
Yeah.
good around town.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I think it's going to do well.
You think it's going to do well?
The more and more I keep hearing about it and seeing, like, I'm getting a lot of good vibes from it. So I mean, maybe not. It's not going to be successful in the sense of a
opening
film. I think people are just going to like that is a fun action movie. They're going to probably separate it a little bit.
That
You know
could be
what I
like low box office, but relatively positive audience score, as opposed
Right.
to
Yeah,
say like
that's what
a
I'm
Captain America, which has low box office and bad audience score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's going to have legs, which like it's not going to come out of the gate roaring, but slowly build an audience?
I think it's going to have a great second week.
Yeah, it's got to be good. By the way, Dark Hero Fans in the chat says it looks like a Gaspar Noé movie. You're right. It looks like the credits for Enter the Void. If you guys haven't seen Enter the Void, do yourself a favor.
It is funny that they've sort of front-loaded it with, from the creators of things you've actually heard of, here is a bunch of characters you forgot existed. It's not I can barely remember who most of these people are, which is one of the reasons I think it's going to open to a very, very low box office, because like if you can't already at the moment drag enough people to go and see your actual Captain America film, trying to sell them on title they've never heard of featuring characters from TV shows they didn't watch is a very, very hard sell. It has to be a really good movie to get positive word of mouth for a second weekend to really be worth very much. It might sustain itself, but if it's sustaining from a low base, I don't think they'll judge it as a success. However, I can see it being better than a lot of the recent ones for the reason that no one's heard of them. And if no one hears about them, this is a common thing in studios these days. If the studio doesn't know who your characters are, they won't meddle so much and fuck things up. It's like Andor was quite good because Kathleen Kennedy didn't know who the character was, so she didn't really get involved.
Good point.
That is a great point. That is awesome. What do y'all think about this then? It was on World of Real today that Quiet Place 3 just got greenlit by Paramount. I didn't like this. I was like,
wait,
They already did
one
third
already?
Quiet Place?
Say again?
I thought they already did 3 Quiet Places. They had day
Well,
one.
the other
and
one was day
Rid-
one.
Day One was a
the
prequel.
Right.
Okay, so this is a sequel. Okay.
Right, but the writer here actually makes a good point. It's like, does it anyone need it? Like,
Probably not.
What's the point of
I'm
it?
surprised it got greenlit right now when Paramount has been kind of at a dead halt for the most part. But yeah.
But I mean, the franchise is delivered. It's made money.
That's
Is
true.
it a Skydance
And it's a
franchise?
horror, you know, it's a horror franchise. I mean,
yeah.
I know, but what's the? I guess it's
Every
just
one of them everyone has made a profit, I believe.
yeah.
That's the point.
I mean, if you've got a genre franchise like this, you're just gonna milk it. And the Day One was pretty good.
I didn't see Day One.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
liked
bad.
it.
It wasn't
I
bad.
didn't see it.
Yeah,
I'll have to watch it.
I mean, for what it is, you know, it is. I think what's great about the Quiet Place franchise, now that we have 3 of them, is it knows what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
and it does that.
So is it going to do the Saw thing? It's going to be Quiet Place 6.
Oh God, who
Quiet
knows?
Place
Man.
17.
I mean, I think like 28 years later, which has one of the great trailers of all time, using that 1914 reading of Boots.
Oh,
I mean, you know that the people that made that movie, Danny Boyle coming back, Alex Garland writing it, you know those guys know exactly what they're doing.
Because I didn't like the sequel. I didn't really like this. I liked the first 15 minutes.
The first
of it.
one was great.
Love the first one, but
I think as far as the sequel goes, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been, but it didn't have
opening
that
scene
magic.
with Begbie, though. Oh, that was great.
I'll tell you what. Going back to Saw really quick. I'll defend to my death the first 3 movies. After that, look, I've seen all of them.
100%.
I've seen all of them, and I'm not. And honestly, I kind of liked all of them, but
I never saw the third
I will
one.
only defend 1 through 3.
I never saw the third one.
That is one of the great trilogies. It doesn't get any credit for being a trilogy because there's a lot more.
There's what?
But
Oh
those-
yeah, no, it was
those-
definitely a
those-
trilogy.
Those
Absolutely.
first 3 are really solid.
So the third one's worth watching because it's the one I haven't seen anything.
Yes, but
after
you
two.
should go back and watch 1 and 2 first as well.
Okay.
Now here's the
I will
thing:
do.
it goes off the rails after 3.
Yeah,
but
yeah, when you're at like
enjoyed
500, yo, Saw 500.
it gets
yeah.
ridiculous.
It is stupid. It's very stupid, but it's almost like stupid fun though.
Yeah,
You mean like Friday the 13th in space type?
Not
Oh yeah, just batshit nuts like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do y'all think of this? I have the comic books, but now Keanu Reeves is doing Berserker. He's bringing the film and the anime. Anybody who read the comics? I like
never read
Keanu
the
Reeves.
book.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
But that's his. It's not the Berserker anime Berserker.
No, he's
It's
making
Keanu
Berserker.
Reeves' book Berserker that he created.
Correct. It's Berserker, not Berserker. But he's starring in it, which I was a little bit surprised. I'm glad he's doing because he said in his last interview that I saw 6 months ago that he wants to do, because they're working on the Wick movies, but he's thinking that he's getting old to do all those stunts, and now he's looking at Berserker.
And he's right. He is too old for that, man.
Yeah.
Come on. He's not too old.
Dude. Hey, dude, I literally just told you, man, that I tore
know.
like several muscles helping a chick move last week.
I know. Let me tell you something. If she flashed you, you wouldn't give a damn what your muscles, how they hurt. I know you. I think she would have been like, come on, I'm in pain, but she's going to be a couple.
Hey, I'm just saying for him to do those movies again.
I know he was saying that stuff before, but I thought he got recently asked, and his answer was, "I'm dead."
Oh,
well, that too, supposedly.
Because they're writing 5 of them, or at least that's
Well,
what
the
they're
only thing
doing
I think that
treatment.
he's supposed to be involved in is that prequel animated bit.
What
forget
is it? The ballerina?
No. They're supposed to be doing an animated version of what the task John Wick had to complete to get out. So I think he'll do the voice, but he'll say what, like 3 lines?
I don't know. Now I want to.
I want out. That's it.
Remember we were talking about Crockett earlier? So now we're going to move on and start wrapping up with a couple of political things.
Sonny Crockett?
No, Jasmine Crockett, the one who embarrasses all of Texas.
Yeah, I'd rather talk about Sonny Crockett.
Yeah, I would love to talk about Sonny Crockett too, but no. Here we go. Here is what I was going to share earlier. We're talking about someone who just took the place.
Sorry.
You're not going to do the whole thing? No. I love that song.
I can. I just didn't want to disrupt the flow, man.
No. That's good.
We'll all be doing drums before you know it.
No, we were talking about Jasmine Crockett, who's representative who was elected, who's from Dallas. And I was saying how Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has just been replaced as one of the dumbest people in Congress.
It's a cultural divide. I'm gonna get it on the flow. 40 acres in the mule.
I wish these people would just work, just do their
Yes.
job.
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Do they forget that they actually are Congress?
She's pretty
No,
hot.
Oh my god.
What the fuck? Rob, it's a political representative, not a...
Hey, what can I say?
Unbelievable.
Hey, I get it, man, and I can separate, you know, the
I
idiot
don't get it.
from the. But my thing is just, look, man, you have a job to do. Do some work. Like, why are all these people in Congress doing these stupid videos?
Right.
Because, man, they just want to go viral, man. It's just like their current day crap, man. They just want to go viral. They want to get on TikTok. They want to make, money.
But they have
I don't know what
jobs.
they're
They
doing.
have jobs. Like,
I
real
know,
jobs.
and that's the level of our political climate right now, where even our congressmen are just trying to go viral on TikTok. They don't care about doing the work of the people, which is why, honestly, why the
where's
Democrats
Doge?
get blown out.
They don't see their job as being to actually pass legislation. Though that was the thing with, I think, because there is some body that produces reports based on the amount of legislation signed or co-signed by a particular, or every congressperson. And AOC, I think, repeatedly scores at the bottom of the list in terms of her actual productive work in Congress, because she doesn't do anything, but she doesn't think it's her job to do that kind of work. There's a whole generation of usually Democratic, but there are some Republican members as well, who think their job is to represent vibes to the US House of Congress. That's what they want to do. They think their job is to represent communities, and the best way to do that is to affect social change by campaigning, not signing legislation. And so they do videos like this, and they judge their worth by impressions, and they do gimmicks for TikTok, and they think that this is the work of a politician. It's still one of the most staggering quotes I think I've ever heard from any political elected representative. It's AOC again. She has many of these quotes, but the time when she first got elected and she was criticized by a few people for saying some just batshit insane things, because of course that's what she does. And her response was something like, there are too many people who are too concerned with being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than with being morally right. As though you, as an elected representative signing and passing laws, you do not have a moral responsibility to be technically correct about what you're saying. What is important is that you say the things that everyone thinks is morally correct. But that's the modus operandi. That's what so many of these people believe in. And unfortunately, there are an increasing number of people in the Republican Party who do the same thing, but from the other direction. Like just genuflecting to their own particular segment of the MAGA audience, which is kind of indistinguishable. It just disagrees on the desired endpoint, but it's still all performative stuff. These people are not there to actually do the job you think they are.
I know it's horrible, because what I find is that the Republican Party listens to its donors and do what they say in order to gain power, and the Democratic Party listens to the agenda in order to gain power. It's like they both come from two different places, but for the same goal, is to get power. It's just one listens to the donors and ignores the people, the other one listens to the SJWs and pushes the agenda. It's just
But nobody's listening to the actual American people, or the
Right.
the
But that's why Trump won. Yeah, but that's exactly
That's
I think
exactly
why Trump won, because he's like, oh, I'm listening to you. And then we have this. This is, of course, it seems to be the never-ending debate. I just want to, this is a new take that I hadn't heard before.
67% of Democrats say that boys should not be allowed to play in girls' sports. 78% of the electorate say boys should not be allowed in girls' sports. It's a very simple statement. And precisely 0 Democratic senators, 0, voted for the bill that said we're going to ban boys in girls' sports. How do you say you're in touch with the big tent, the working class, traditional value Americans, when that's the Democratic Party?
I don't think that the American people want school professionals pulling their children's pants down to determine what sports team they should play. No, how do you enforce that bill? If you read the bill, how do you enforce it? How do you enforce it?
Come on, you know what people, you know what sex is on someone's birth certificate, and you say if it's on your birth certificate, if you're a boy, you can't play in girls' sports. It's pretty simple. It's a completely false talking point. Come on.
let's be real. They're dancing around the obvious. We're talking about people who are playing pretend here. That's the difference, right?
Correct, but dropping they've started making that argument today because I saw 2 other congressmen make the same argument. What are you going to do? Pull their pants down? So I guess this week that's what we're going to be hearing.
So how do we enforce it for like all of the entirety of human history where we've had bathrooms? How was it enforced in those periods?
Right.
You will know who's running for president for the Democratic ticket, though, by the way, when you see who's going to pivot away from this talking point. So you already know Gavin Newsom's going to run because he's now starting to say we don't want women and men in girls' sports. And you know Pete Buttigieg is going to run because he's saying basically the same thing. Those 2 people are running for president, and this will be the issue that determines who's running for president and not. The rest of them are just there to follow the line, and they don't think.
There's a way we can fix this whole thing. Just start trans sports.
Yeah, I said that.
Everybody would watch that
Hey, you
fucking
got your own
clown show,
category.
right? Wouldn't you watch that clown show? I'd watch that fucking clown show.
The problem, Tom, is they don't want to do that because then they have to admit to themselves that they're not really what they say they are, right?
Yeah.
They'll never do that. So they're going to keep trying to insist that that they're able to play on the women's team. Because here's the thing, you'll never hear like them arguing the other way. You'll never hear about how trans men are fighting to get into the NFL because that would never happen.
See,
that would never happen.
Virgil's getting what I'm getting at. I want to see some like trans men get their ass kicked by trans women. This is going to be amazing.
Okay, well, I have on that line of thought. There is somebody who went on and asked a key question. No, that's fine. He asked a key question, and he got answers from a few people.
Oh God!
Oh God!
Surprised me for dating a trans woman in 2025 of all years, saying that I am a homosexual for doing so, and I think it's very bigoted, but like surface level to say such a thing like that, because women have many features. They have beautiful the thing that I love about my trans girlfriend is her beautiful eyes, her beautiful lips, her beautiful chest,
his chest,
her beautiful
penis.
But just because one part is not approved in societal standards,
I've never heard this.
That I'm a
just one little part,
being in love,
just a set of balls.
Woman, are you telling me that this much real estate you can't overlook
just that much
in a relationship?
Yeah. Oh,
that
dude.
If this
I
much
feel
real
bad for
estate
him.
on her beautiful body is wrong, wrong by societal standards, that must mean you have a totally different sexual orientation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that the end? That's the consensus.
You know what though? I look at this whole issue, which is a strange thing because it's a relatively new issue in our society. Like you pointed out earlier, for the thousands of years, nobody was confused about any of
this. Guy would just come in and quietly rent chicks with dicks porn back in the day. You're right.
Yeah. But what I don't get is go ahead, Robert.
But what you're talking about is like Pete Rose will get kicked out of the Baseball Hall of Fame for using anabolic steroids. Like you literally for men
wasn't it gambling?
Well, yeah, it was for gambling.
But
I was just but
to your point, Rob.
But men will get drummed out of men's sports for using performance enhancing drugs.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that the idea that a biological man whose musculature and skeleton structure are very different than a female's. There's no way around that. It has nothing to do with hormones. It has to do with the foundational construction of the human form. You can never get away from that kind of thing. And however you want to identify when it comes to the women's sports issue, I don't understand why you don't make it foundational. It's not about how you perceive yourself. It's about the fact that you literally have an advantage over a biological man has an advantage over a biological woman, which is why that there's a difference in men and women's sports in the first place. I mean, I grew up in a golf household, and there are separate tees for women and men to tee off of, because to sort of equalize, if they play together, it equalizes the men have harder and faster and longer swings.
Almost all the Olympic sports are the same thing, right? So that the discus is weighted differently for men and women, the shot put is weighted differently for men and women.
100%.
All of these things take account of that. But there's the additional one as well, because they sometimes, and the simplest answer sounds like, well, just put your biological sex as the defining category for which sport you enter, men's or women's. But there's actually an additional complication which doesn't get spoken about all that much, which is that, yes, biological men will always have an advantage physical over biological women. However, biological women who take testosterone supplements and hormone supplements to transition to become trans men will also have an advantage over biological women, because you're loading them full of testosterone and you're altering the course of their puberty to a degree. So actually, the only way to ensure any kind of fairness is that you have female category, which is only for biological women who are not undergoing any kind of reassignment, and you have an open category for men and everybody else, because men will be able to take any hits from anyone who's coming at them from any other category, and women will not. So it's not just as simple as biological men in men's, biological women in women's. Biological women who are going through reassignment have to go into open, because putting them against non-trans
I love that idea.
women is, yeah.
Well, wait a minute. But what do you do about the ones who are transitioning after puberty if they were men and they have all the benefits of their puberty and then they start transitioning?
You're still foundational structure.
That's what I'm saying. They're still.
But that doesn't change. You can't change your.
I know, but how are they going to be able to play in the same league with women? You see what I'm saying?
No, they shouldn't. That's the thing. It's that they shouldn't.
Because you would have the same problems again, even if you had a trans league.
I think this goes back to the common sense issue. Which
How about we just get back
we're so past
to men and women again and
but
stop all this? Go back to transvestites. You know, that's what it used to be called.
But we have a problem in the West with all different kinds of common sense. This was settled law, and over the last 15 years, it's not.
How about since the dawn of time?
But we are living amongst crazy people. We just saw a guy right now talk about his boyfriend. You know, and it comes up he's dating a woman, right? And by the way, we didn't even get to the best part of that video.
I know we're not finished.
Okay. I'm like, we didn't hit the best part.
Hey, we're not done. I was just like letting it brew.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we got to get to the end.
I think society has gone mad. I think it's insane. I think it's absolutely abhorrent that this much real estate you can't
he's
push it
stuck
to
on
the
that.
side. You can't overlook that. I did not fall in love with this woman because what she has in her genes. I fell in love with her heart. And even I'm not saying that I'm not into physical features, but I fell in love with many physical features. And you think that one physical feature that I'm not into is going to make me not be in love with my girlfriend? That is the most narcissistic thing that you could say.
No, but when he said move it to the side, just move it out the way. I'm like, move his dick out the way.
What
are we talking about here?
No, he said that small piece of what I don't get is it's 2025, right? It's 2025. I don't know anybody who cares who sleeps with who, as long as you don't mess with kids and nobody cares. Why don't they just admit whoever? I mean, it's like if he's like saying like I want to date dudes who wearing dresses, just say it. Like what's this?
I agree. Like no one cares who you're banging as long as they're two consenting adults, man.
But I think though that there's something else at play here, which is
mental institute.
Yeah, I mean, I actually believe. Look, everybody. I have a wide variety of gay friends. I have since I was 13. They were born that way.
And
they knew that they were born that way. There was. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to believe that a human being can be exposed to more estrogen or testosterone in utero. And you literally are, that gender dysmorphia is real. Like, I don't think we have the technology yet, but I think it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if quantum computing or deep learning AI could eventually figure out, you could examine a human brain and you could actually, and I honestly believe that one day we will be able to look at a human brain, somebody who calls themselves trans, and see it. You'll be able to actually see that the brain in someone's body has the characteristics of a female, but they've been born into a male body, and the reverse is true. I am perfectly willing to believe that that is actually true.
But Rob, there's always been effeminate men, right? There's always been
of course, but
women,
I
masculine
do
women.
think that it will be eventually a diagnosable, actual, scientifically proven thing. Now imagine if, imagine if you knew that your whole life, but you didn't know, you couldn't quantify it or whatever, but you actually knew that you mentally, your brain is in the wrong body. True dysmorphia. Dysmorphia, it means it's some kind of an ailment,
but it's rare.
Yeah,
that's
of course it's rare, but we already know
Very rare.
the trans community
Yeah.
is very tiny. But imagine once we can, and if that's the case, that we can actually medically prove it, and I believe that one day we will be able to. That then it's a game changer, because you would want to get people the help they really need. And I think what we're doing is a great disservice by having the kinds of debates now that, especially online, so many other people have jumped on this bandwagon or fetishizing it. The actual true, the trans community we should be helping the trans community in the sense that find out, get the medical and help anybody get what they need to get, but making it a social issue where you're suddenly getting into other realms such as sports,
But we have to
actually taking the onus away from an actual medical condition.
Right, but it's
that
a medical
people need to
condition.
get help.
Right,
for.
but it's a condition again for 0.001 the last time I checked of the population. Meaning, like, yes, you can offer help, but we have allowed somehow this 0.001% to
the
change.
0.001% has expanded because there's been no gatekeeping of the category. So
Exactly.
like, as long as you-
Right, but how much of that is
huge, and this is why
social?
the idea that represents is a really interesting one, because if you can scientifically determine what is a genuine case of dysmorphia versus what is an instance of sexual paraphilia, then that's a very useful thing to do, because then automatically you can say, okay, this person has genuinely got gender dysmorphia. This person has autogynephilia, and that is not the same thing, but we currently treat it as though it is, which is why, though, yeah, the strict trans community is like 0.01%, the number of people who fit into the expanding bracket of the alphabet community is growing exponentially every year because we make it so easy to define. There's a guy who ran for the Labour Party women's officer in Sheffield a couple of years ago, and he said that, well, he was a woman on Wednesdays, and that qualified him to run for the position of female welfare officer. and he was accepted as the candidate. Yeah, over and above the actual things. And it's because it seemed to be impolite to turn this down. And then it gets to the question, even if you sort of take Rob's hypothetical and you get to the situation where you can diagnose, it still gets down to this fundamental question of what the correct response is. Because all of this has been done in the name of affirmation and in the name of kindness and tolerance. It is the only known dysmorphia which we treat by indulging as opposed to treating medically. If someone is anorexic, they have dysmorphia. If someone is bulimic, they have dysmorphia. But we all understand that these are problems that can be medicated. But in the case of gender dysmorphia, if you say something like that, you're not affirming their internal identity. And that is bigoted and wrong and transphobic, and you're not allowed to do it. So we'll still have a difficult moral question to answer, even when this scientific possibility arises, because you're going to have some difficult conversations about how you treat it. Do you treat it? Is it medically possible to get rid of it? Is it desirable to do so? And so on.
I'm team common sense and team reality, basically. I just
don't think it should. This thing should enter into
it should never have
kids sports, kids getting gender reassignment surgeries.
Correct.
People. That's where I draw the line. What you do as an adult and how you're treated and all of that. That's fine. But when you're a child, you shouldn't have to deal with any of this crap.
No,
and
of course
the
not.
other kids shouldn't have to deal with it. Like we always see the girl, and I think that she was there at the at Trump's speech that got hit in the face with the volleyball.
You Lincoln Riley?
No.
Lincoln Riley, the other one.
Wasn't she paralyzed or whatever it was?
Yeah, the one who got. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that kind of crap is where I'm like, okay,
sorry.
There's no draw. We got to draw the line at some point in time with this stuff, and when kids are in harm's way because they're going to be playing with boys, and little girls are going to be playing with boys. Like somebody's, like I have a niece. My daughter didn't play sports, but I have a young niece who might get into sports. I just she needs to play with girls. That's it. That's all. Peyton McNabb. She needs to play with other girls that are, of her same size, weight, or whatever. So to me, that's the main issue.
But do you know, I was embarrassed during that address to Congress, right? Having to have a president of the United States turn around and say, look, there's only men and women. I mean, I never in my life thought we would be at a point where we have to express that. Yeah. It's like, that's a given.
It's also, those are easy. You can turn those into social issues because they're easy to point to. And then you're obfuscating the real problems that you need to get to. Like, for instance, why aren't people up in arms about the educational abilities of our or the educational system in this country? Why is it that our kids, 60% of the people in this country, read at a 6th grade or less level?
I agree with you.
Why aren't we saying things like our education system has become a national security issue?
You know who started that shit? That was fucking Bush, which I still to this day, and every time I mention his name, it's like fucking Beetlejuice. I regret to this day, and I feel guilty that I ever voted for him, because what he did was because I was trying to found a company at that time called Async to help the children of Texas learn. It was a database, this system that we were designing. And he pushed everything to pass the TAS test, to pass tests, not teaching them. The schools that I dealt with, 80% of the day was spent teaching children the test. I'm like, well, what if you actually educate them? They'll be able to pass any test. Well, I don't know, kind of like the way I was taught, but they spent it because they tied their funds for the school to the percentage of who passed.
Yes.
That's it. And guess what? They kept failing. So they kept changing the test so they could pass, so they could get funded. And it started, and what Texas and California do are what the publishing companies print for their educational books, for their manuals, for the states. It's like, I think it's 20 states, 23 states, I think follow, back then it was follow California and the rest follow Texas. It's not like the publishing houses will go, okay, Maine, you want this, Arkansas, you want this. No, like, here are all our books. This is what you can pick, your curriculum. Anyway, it was a horrible. Then Obama continued it, and it's just been one disaster after another. But what I'm fearing for is at the beginning, before Platoon had gotten here, I was playing a clip of what happened in the UK, where they are changing the criminal sentencing guidelines. Platoon. You saw that?
Yeah,
I can tell by your laugh.
Yeah, this is it's so irritating the way the pipeline from alt-right conspiracy theory to real government policy just is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. It's now it takes 2 weeks to travel from one to the other at this point. The government, I think, has belatedly realized how massively unpopular this is. So the Sentencing Council is answerable to, but is not technically a government body. The government is able to change the law. It's able to get rid of the Sentencing Council, for one thing, which it really should do. We don't need it. The Sentencing Council basically came out and said, yes, in judging, when you're a judge, when you're looking at the sentences you hand out for custodial crimes and all the rest of it, you should take into account the following characteristics of the alleged perpetrator. And amongst those characteristics were racial, religious background, which basically means the judge is being told by the Sentencing Council, if the person is, say, Muslim or brown or black or Afro-Caribbean or Polish, whatever it happens to be, any minority, then you should take into account that fact when you are giving the sentence, with the implication being that maybe they need a lighter sentence than people who are not. The basic principle of equality under the law is gone. It doesn't exist. And it's insane that the Sentencing Council should ever publish this and think that it would get no pushback. I think the Labour Party has come out and said, we're not overly keen on this because people don't like it very much, so maybe row it back and get rid of it. But actually, secretly, a lot of people in the Labour Party would quite like something like this.
Did the Magna Carta like?
No, they don't know what that is. We don't teach the Magna Carta in English schools. It's
Did you just immolate on its own? Like,
I think we sold it to you. That's what we did. It's somewhere in an American museum. We don't have it, and no one learns about it. But it is insane. So at the moment, I think it is still on the books, but it might disappear. But it's still in place, or equivalents are still in place all over the place. Like, it's not just the Sentencing Council. That's just the most very dramatic example of that kind of philosophy, which is embedded in the way that the police already deal with non-crime hate incidents, for example, where they can turn up at your door and say, we saw you posted something on social media. Or these days, if you are standing within 150 feet of an abortion clinic doing nothing, but they think you might be praying, you can be arrested, which is fantastic.
That's true. That's true, right? Like you could literally do nothing. You don't have to talk to anybody, say anything, just stand there and they can.
They are trying to judge the content of your head while you're standing within the vicinity of a building and you might not know what that building is. I'm not the kind of person who would go and pray outside an abortion clinic, but I think people should be allowed to silently stand outside of buildings. I don't think that should be a crime. And what do you call a policeman who goes and says, we need to check your thoughts?
And how do you check their thoughts? Where you're like, I'm just daydreaming. And what are they going to do? I'm just daydreaming. Oh, I didn't know. Anyway. But of course, this is now being pushed everywhere, especially to the EU by Eva von Braun. It's not her real name, obviously. It's Eva von whatever, but she reminds me of Eva Braun. So
it's Ursula von der Leyen, who is the yeah.
As technology evolves, we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation. Because research has shown that pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking. Pre-bunking is basically the opposite of debunking. In short, prevention is preferable to cure.
Isn't that what the
AKA getting ahead of the narrative? No, sorry.
Instead of treating an infection once it has taken hold, that is debunking. It is much better to vaccinate so that the body is inoculated.
You know, the last person that sent that also called it the final solution. I mean, this might be one for the brain, but you ever heard of that? Pre-bunking?
Like there is just something innately sinister about people with German accents talking about eliminating the viruses from humans. It's just, it's something scary about that. I can't place what it is.
I don't know. It's just, she has no shame, no worry, no concern about, it's like, no, we want to control your mind. Don't you get it for your own good? Just walk this way. You see where the violinists are, the quartet, you know, they're playing. It's nice music.
Well, it's like, did you guys hear what the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey declared yesterday?
No.
Paterson, New Jersey is now the capital of Palestine in the United States of America. And I'm not kidding.
I believe you.
That they're now trying to they want to turn Palestine into the Islamic stronghold in New Jersey. You know, and slowly no longer is, you know, we have to start like not being embarrassed to stand up and fight for our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the things that we have that, you know, not a lot of other countries have in the world.
Before we burn our own, like the Magna Carta.
Well, yeah, like the Magna Carta. You know, and remember that it was places like the UK that ended slavery long before America did.
Yeah.
And it's the mayor at the Halal lighting ceremony declared that Paterson is the capital of Palestine in the United States and referred to it as the fourth holiest city in the world after Jerusalem, Mecca, and Medina.
You can just declare that?
Apparently.
Did the Palestinians themselves have a say? Do they know they're being moved?
You know, yeah, it's I guess when they rebuild Gaza, they can all go to Paterson.
It's a great question, but it's funny because there was another parade the other day, and this was interesting. It was about, since you brought it up, about Palestine. They have now a gay Palestinian flag, and I was like, I don't think they understand. There was a clip which I can't find, and I'm gonna find it. There was a group of people that were talking to a reporter, and they're like, and the reporter asked a serious question because you could tell he was dumb as a stump. He's like, when are y'all gonna go do this in Gaza? Because this would be so great to uplift people. And the person's like, yeah, we want to do it. I'm like, okay.
I'd watch that.
I think they don't understand. Like, I don't think it's going to go the way you think it's going to go. It's just, it's nutty how many people need to hit a
It's also
study.
these people that they are criminally insane people, and they vote in elections, which is the really damaging thing about them. But the illustrative story is, I can't remember, it's a couple of years ago. It's kind of tragic, but also kind of funny, but also quite tragic, but also quite funny. There was a couple, basically the kind of couple that you would imagine attended a rally like that, or a little parade like that, who went hiking. I think it was in the mountains of Afghanistan, and their stated mission was to prove to the world
that's
that,
right.
like all of these narratives about how backward certain parts of the world are, they're just evil Western lies. Everyone out there is just as loving and just as tolerant as your average liberal arts school grad in America. So they went hiking, and lo and behold, they got kidnapped and killed.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, it's really sad, because that is the kind of mind virus that Ursula von der Leyen probably was not talking about. But they genuinely believed it. And this is the kind of attitude that prevails amongst people who have just no life experience and never read anything about the subject matter that isn't just affirming their worldviews. You don't have to read very much of the Quran to find out what they think about gay people.
No.
And you don't have to learn very much about Islam to find out that Muslims treat it quite seriously. Add those two things together, you're probably not going to get a good welcome in Gaza, are you? But by all means, try.
Look what's happening in Syria the last couple of days.
Oh my, they've been whacking people left and right. I mean, even in didn't you have it also in
and they're they're filming it and uploading it to the web. You know, you can watch Christians being massacred and their dead bodies defiled. They're proud of it.
Interestingly, it's Israel which is looking at moving into a part of Syria to protect the Druze community, which is a religious minority in Syria, because they are asking for Israeli help to protect them against the new Syrian government, which is, again, not part of the usual narrative you hear when you talk about Israel as the apartheid state.
Yeah, no, of course not. Of course not. All right, I'm going to play this last thing, and then we'll read the super chats, and we're out of here. This I had found I've been wanting to play for a week. Danny Dyer calling out Starmer.
Right. Danny, it's just always such a joy to have you here. This isn't technically a Brit Award, but what I love about you is you call a mug a mug. If we were giving out a Brit Award for your Twat of the Year, who would win the Danny Dyer Ben End Door?
There's so many. Let's have it right. The world is being run by cranks at the moment, so probably Keir Starmer.
Okay. Right. Let's not.
And the BBC immediately went away from him. I was like, wow, how shocking. I'm afraid over there for what's going on with my cousins across the pond. It's insane. All right, we're going to read these, and then we will wrap up. Jeremy Embry, member for 10 months. We need a Red Guardian show with his daughter.
No, we don't.
No, I disagree, but I understand it. You just like her. I kind of like the Red Guardian. I don't really like the actor anymore. He's gotten too wacko.
Florence Pugh was hot, man, and I'd watch her in anything, but we don't need that.
Mark Daly for $5. Miami Vice sequel coming. Crockett and Tubbs infiltrate the villages to bust an illegal Viagra dealer. Interesting concept. Interesting. I like it.
Hey, those old folks home, man, they're getting peddled there like cocaine. So.
Oh, what are you talking about? Was it Bonnie Blue or Phillips who's now sleeping with old
Lily
men?
Phillips is banging senior citizens now for content. So
I cannot believe it. Did you hear about that, Platoon, Robert?
No.
Showed a video. We showed. Oh, yeah, hold on. I hold on. One more. Hold on.
Hey, I'm just saying, as long as she provides the Viagra, I mean, good for those
Viagra dealers.
I know, but it's sick too at the
same. Hey, look, man, they're on death's door. You know, go out with a bang, dude.
Yeah, she's gonna give him a disease.
Dude, they only got like a few years left anyway, man.
So just go out diseased.
Hey, throw a speedball in there and just make it a night. You know what I mean? Just
make it here it is.
Go out with a bang.
I don't know.
Literally.
I find her disgusting.
Oh no, she is.
My oldest fan via Facebook.
Look how happy he is.
There's no downside for him.
Except she's gonna put it online.
Here with him and his friends, and I'm gonna show them a good time.
Hey, for those old guys, this is one last ride. You know what I mean?
I guess so.
But what does that say about the value, someone's personal value, what they mean to themselves?
Oh, we established a long time ago, Rob, that these are broken toys. These girls, like they can't be fixed, and they don't want to be saved. Like,
and we don't know. We don't know the. There's no analytics yet to see where they're going to be when they're 50.
I don't.
How are they going to feel?
They're
about
making millions right now,
lives?
man. They probably going to be set up nice.
Yes, but what are their
They're making
kids?
millions of dollars.
What about
Man.
their kids? They're going if they have kids one day.
If they
There's
have
no way
kids.
they're having kids, man.
Nah. But I mean,
Unless
the way
it's by
that society
accident.
is flipped now, who knows how people are going to think about this in 50 years or whatever? Who knows? The society is just all the way backwards. So
Dude,
I
those
don't know.
babies are gonna come out like Freddy Krueger, man, like the bastard son of 1,000 maniacs, dude. Like
Oh my
that's
god,
you know what I mean?
a real Freddy Krueger.
You guys are
Or
stealing all
villain
my
origin
jokes.
stories.
Like I had one for the Miami Vice thing though. Like they bust the Viagra dealers and they're like, "What's up, boys?"
That's a good one. Peanut Guzman for $2. Mark Hamill voice in Angel Studios King of Kings. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Had no idea. I wanted to
Hey,
watch King of
he's
Kings,
a
but
name.
yeah. Wow.
Angel
Thank
Studios
you.
may not be woke. That doesn't mean they don't work with actors who are.
Well, yeah, I got you. I thought after he was trying to hold his pants up, that was kind of like it for him. But
What I find is funny is that Hollywood is still desperate to get Matthew McDonough, however you say his name, to get him to do stuff, but he won't do stuff unless it's under his certain. You know,
Matthew who?
The white. No, McDonough or however you
Oh,
say his
Neil
last
McDonough.
Neil McDonough. I like Neil McDonough because he's
yeah. They're constantly trying to get him to do stuff, but he won't because unless it's within his stipulations.
his beliefs. Like he's explained it. I showed that video
Because I guess like Warner Brothers has been desperate for him to star in like I don't know how many shows now, and he just keeps turning them down.
He was in Star Trek First Contact. He played Hawk, Lieutenant Hawk.
But he won't kiss other women because he's like, I'm happily married. Won't kiss them. He goes, I don't care if it's acting. Won't do sexy.
And I
won't
love the
do-
cope they have in the interview that I was reading with because this was what I was talking to you guys earlier about how HBO is run by nothing but women. And they were talking about they're the ones who said that. They're like, we want him for a show. We've offered him so many shows, but he keeps turning us down. I just don't think he wants to do TV. It's like, have you watched Paramount Plus?
Justified, Yellowstone.
He does all sorts of Taylor Sheridan shows where he doesn't have to kiss women.
And he said it. He just doesn't want to betray his wife. He doesn't care about that it's acting. That's his line in the sand.
I mean, good for him, man. I mean, for me, that'd be like a get out of jail free card. It's like, hey, I'm married. It's like beautiful women. Like,
By the way,
well, I just brought him up because he's done tons of movies with angels.
the best of
but
both worlds here.
He did a really cool. Well, okay, I'll say really cool. On a comparative scale, he did a cool movie called The Shift. That's
an Angel
alternate
Studios
universe
film. Yeah,
science fiction horror kind of a film that's basically kind of a retelling of the Book of Job. It's
really
not
good.
bad. It's not, and he was good in it.
Yeah, it was
as
good.
maybe the devil. It's pretty good.
Cool.
That's what I mean. He's done a few projects for Angels Studios now. So like, yeah, that's one of the main people he works for in Sheridan.
I mean, good for him though, man. He's sticking to his principles, and you can't fault the man for that.
He did. He gave this speech where he was explaining. You can find it online, where he was saying the first time he did it, he was in the middle of. They rewrote the script for the film project that he was doing, and they said you're going to have to kiss this woman, and da 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 da. He says, "Well, I'm not going to do that." He goes. They went through this whole debate, this whole debacle. He said he lost his home, his cars, his life, everything because he was fired, and then he said he got blacklisted for that. So. Then he took him years to come back in television. Dark Hierophant for $5. They're practicing for their OF's account since losing USAID money. Absolutely. Wait till the rest of them lose that money.
Yeah, but you know what though? The problem is now these girls, I think Tom, we talked about it yesterday. Like now they're stuck in like novelty porn, right? Like they got to keep doing these circus acts, just
basically
to top what they've done already, right? And they're gonna have to keep doing that and
well.
What about
that happens when you lower? Well,
they shouldn't have a market for that, Tom. I mean,
unfortunately,
really,
if women are taking their clothes off someplace, somewhere at some time, men will pay for it. It's just the way it is. Okay,
there's some level, like the guys who slept with her. Who's the one, Bonnie Blue, who slept with 1,056 guys in 12 hours? Like, who wants to be that guy? Like, what? 40 seconds per dude, like
yeah. Can you imagine me like being guy number 117? Like You're just waiting with your number. Like, yeah, it's
next.
Look, they're definitely not banging the brightest and the best. That's for sure. And in Bonnie Blue's case,
What about the quality of the experience?
What
is that
experience?
teaching, man? You got to bring your A
seconds.
game, man. Don't. This is not doing well for anybody. You got to.
You get like 42 seconds, Robert. I don't think your
Yeah,
A game matters.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
less
but
than a
what does that
minute to
do?
make
That's
the mark.
just not good. I want quality over quantity. Come on.
No, I hear you, Robert. If that's the case, then you go pay for a decent hooker, I guess, at that point.
Or you
Eric
learn
K.
yourself and date.
Yeah, Eric.
We
K.
had this
Kirk, right,
conversation last night. That is part of the problem right now. This fourth wave feminism, all this other bullshit that's gotten us up to this point has destroyed dating in men.
The problem is though, no product will succeed if there are no customers, right? Obviously, there are customers for this. There are people willing to pay to watch this crap.
That's what I'm saying, exactly.
And that's why they're doing it. Once men decide, hey, I'm not going to be a loser and I'm not going to stop watching this stuff, then yeah,
But-
they'll have to.
But you would
find
need
a
like
new-
women to be like, a little bit more approachable and like the dating market. Like you guys said, the dating market has been destroyed. And so guys can't really go up to women because women have a inflated sense of self. And so they really can't go up and talk to women like they used to. And so they're turning to the other material because look, they're still men. They still have needs. They still have desires. And that's where it goes.
There's normal porn out there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
you're
but
down a
going off
treadmill.
your
Once you
original
go down
point,
a certain
Verbal.
path, it just gets wacky. It gets crazy. But
Well, like you
I'm
just said,
saying,
Verbal. I mean, you get to this point where they have to literally keep upping what they've done before, and you got Bonnie Blue and this other chick are literally trying to outdo each other at this point, right? Like it's like the home run race, right? Like it's like the home run race between McGuire and Sosa all over again, but it's dick instead of home runs.
They are rivals.
But the thing is, the quality of the experience. It's not like
We get you,
you're
Robert.
getting filet mignon, which shouldn't everybody aspire
It's
to
a
having
filet.
a great. I mean,
It just ain't mignon. It ain't mignon. That's the
You
only
only get
problem.
less than a mignon. That's the problem.
Wait. And the thing that we're not taking into consideration here is these guys are flying out to be with her for less than a minute. Like they're flying out from places. These aren't like guys from the neighborhood. These are people who are flying from other places. Like renting a hotel room, paying for an airplane ticket, right? They are spending thousands of dollars to be in this woman for less than a minute.
Yeah, but to them, this is no different than if some porn star from back in the day would have announced that I'm going to fuck all these men. All people would have showed up because then they can turn around and say, hey, guess what? I fucked so-and-so.
No,
they will.
that's
Some men are
money,
like
man.
that. Some men are like that, though. That's the thing.
There's
You're
probably
looking
enough
at it,
desperate
again,
men,
from a perspective of somebody who doesn't have to chase pussy as much, Verbal. I told you this yesterday.
Real men are more
Tom's right, man. There's enough desperation.
Come on now.
There's enough desperation out there. I can
Even Rhino sitting here trying to explain it to him.
Nope, I don't buy that. Because here's the thing: for less money, you can go get a local prostitute for less money. You don't have to travel. You don't have to book. Well, maybe a hotel room, but
you
don't
live
have,
in LA.
You,
You got to understand this.
Like
you live where
and
there's tons of hot women and lots of gay men, so your competition is slim.
And Tom, you will have more time than a minute with a local prostitute.
I love you, man, but you need to move to just for a few minutes get outside of LA and see how tough it is.
And guess what, Tom? If you go to LA between Robert and the friends he knows,
LA and Vegas, I agree with you. You can
and
throw
then
a stone and hit a
I would
hooker.
also say don't count out a great gay bar because you can meet great women there too.
That is true.
We don't have that
do
kind of
not-
options here. That's what I'm trying to get you guys. Outside of Vegas and LA, you guys got to understand. Yes, I get it. There you can throw a stone and hit a hooker or a woman. Here you can't do that. That's not how it works. Like if I go outside and ask a woman for sex and I'll pay her for it, I'm getting handcuffed, right? Like that's what's gonna fucking happen. We don't have that. Like I couldn't tell you where the local whorehouse is. Why? Because we don't have one.
Well, I guess
You'd be surprised at what neighborhood you'll find them in.
Yeah, you can copy.
But you guys don't understand what it's like living outside of LA.
I'm just saying.
I'm not in LA.
You know what?
Yeah,
The kinky
Look,
shit
I go down-
goes on in the most unassuming neighborhoods. You just keep
I
your eye
told
out,
you,
man.
No, but
Robert,
it's wide
Trust me,
open
in these
in
areas,
LA.
that's
No,
the
I get
last
what
place
Tom
you
is
want to
saying.
be. Then Robert, you don't even have to fuck anything to get a disease.
I'm just gonna
You just
tell
have
you,
to come close.
Robert
and you
will
get,
hook you
shit,
up.
I just got
Robert will.
hepatitis. What the fuck?
Robert will hook you up from ecstasy.
No, I'm an
to-
old man now. No, the ecstasy thing, yeah, it's coming back.
By the way, the biggest swinger community is in the Inland Empire. So just so people know.
Where I live.
Just wear a body condom. All right, James, for $10. Elected officials do this cringe stuff because going viral is the new way to get reelected. It's not too. So what are we going to have next election cycle? We're going to go from Jasmine Crockett doing this rap crap to, is she going to do an OnlyFans? Vote for me? You know,
politicians pledging to sleep with 1,000 voters within 24 hours would be the guess I'm going to go for. Just combine the two.
It'll be, yeah. I mean, think about it. That would be the next evolution. If you,
we sit here and joke, but it is pretty sad that this is what became of the Democratic Party. It's kind of sad. Like this is what they've become.
I think AOC is going to give villains. Yeah. She's going to give blowjobs next. That's what's happening. AOC 2028. You know?
You're used to getting fucked by your leaders. I reverse it.
Go fuck your leader.
You get to fuck us once. That's what she's going to say before we fuck you over. I mean, yeah, they can new little bump.
What tired of saying your congressman can suck your dick? Now they will.
We're in the end times, boys.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's too bad. We've got all this great information technology, and all we're using it to do is have 48-second sexual experiences with.
It's sad. It is sad. It's not too dissimilar to actors being hired based on their follower count rather than their acting.
It's like that great scene in Seven where Morgan Freeman walks into the library, and he sees all the people that are the caretakers. They're just playing poker.
I know. He's like,
listening,
look at you, gentlemen.
But they're listening to classical music. And he says that. He goes, you have all of this information, all of the wonder of human civilization at your fingertips and you're playing cards.
That's exactly what I say to my kid because he's got all the answers right in the phone, right? Yep. It's like he asks me stuff. I'm like, look it up. It's right there.
Said, bro. Yeah, man. It's like, I'm about to use the phone that come on, man. Look it up. Take some initiative. Yeah, these kids they just want everything handed to them, man. It's crazy.
You know why though? Because those motherfuckers never had to use an encyclopedia.
Oh,
exactly
God,
my point. I was saying, but my mom used to say, I pay good money for those encyclopedia. You better go look at them.
Oh, God. Or the library.
Oh, God.
I had to go to the library. The microfiche.
Decimal system.
Dewey said, hell yeah. Had to do all of that. And then when our local library, didn't have it, we had to go to downtown to the main one.
And it goes back to what you guys were saying earlier. And that's the biggest problem with the people who are making these movies is they don't watch anything past a certain due date, right? Yep. Like they don't watch anything that's black and white. It looks too old timey to them or whatever excuse they come up with. And this is where these kind of sentiments come from, where I've been saying to people, like, they won't make a movie that's black and white. They won't do this kind of animated movie. They won't do this shit anymore that we used to watch because they don't watch it.
Yeah.
And everybody always kind of reminds us, like Script Doctor says, they only make movies for themselves in Hollywood. You got to remember that. They're not making them for us.
It was also, look, this is going to sound strange, but understanding how to watch a movie or a show is a learned skill.
Yeah.
It has to be taught. And if you've got kids that are nowadays growing up with tablets and like when we were growing up in the olden days, I loved anything to do with science fiction, fantasy, and horror. I didn't care if it was black and white. The Twilight Zone was only in black and white, and I loved it. Star Trek was in vibrant color.
We also had reruns still in color.
Well, that's the thing. We would watch.
Too.
I mean, when I wouldn't not go back and watch a Universal monster movie because I had to go see Frankenstein. I had to see Dracula. I had to see the creature
King
from Black Lagoon. King Kong. I would never not watch something. If it had if there was a whiff of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, I would watch it. And I would sit there enraptured no matter what it was. And you were learning these things. And it never occurred to me not to watch something because it was older. That was where they were. And it was understood that they were made in the 30s. Well, at least
which is funny because these kids can do this with music, but they can't do it with movies and television, right? Like they can embrace the older music, no problem. Sorry.
I just want to finish up the super chats as people before they leave. All right, the Sundowners Club for $10. Someone on the panel should explain code switching in regards to Jasmine Crockett. She went to expensive private college in Memphis, where I live, called Rhodes. She never talked that way. She does now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on Wednesday. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you, Sundowners Club. Great to see you. Hope you'll be at the next member soon. We got to get you on the show, too. Skull Eater 2016 for another $5. When I did sports in high school, first thing you need is physical. and then medical exam. Absolutely. We need to bring that all back. Dodgeball. Do you know dodgeball is banned in most schools? I didn't know
That's ridiculous.
It is
Dodge
because
a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
because it hurts. They said the kids. I was asking my niece about it the other day. She's like,
that was the whole point.
Yes, I know. Her school allows it, but another school she was telling me that they don't. I was like, I believe. Thank you, Skull Leader.
Dodgeball's a rite of passage. You're right. Yeah.
Yep. Skull Leader 2016 for another $5. XX plus XY is an arrow. XX plus XS is English happy. Thank you, Skull Leader. Baba Yogi for $10. Hi, I'm gay. Did I mention I'm gay? How do you feel knowing I'm gay? Oh, that's okay, but I'm gay. Did you know? Okay, this validation shit didn't start till the late 90s. We don't care. That's what I said. Nobody cares. Everybody can live and let live. I don't know why you had that dude doing the thing he was doing, talking about what he did with whoever he did it. Anyway.
Because lots of people find it too boring, and it's like the demand to be left alone by other people, which was the sensible demand that the old rights movement used to make, is the one. It was successful and it won. And unfortunately, most of the activist organizations don't just wrap up when their job is done. It's the March of Dimes phenomenon. Like, as soon as your job is done, you find a new thing to do. And so it switches from the negative, leave me the fuck alone, to now please affirm me, like recognize me in your religious marriage. Give me exactly the same tax breaks as other people, which the tax break thing I can understand. And then it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Like, it's all about recognition. And now it reaches its zenith with demanding to be like led into other people's sports because I have a penis. I'm pretending today I don't. It's great. That's the rights movement now.
It's small real estate. Remember what he said. Just this little real estate. That's all that meant.
This little real estate.
His boyfriend has to be pissed, man, that he's referring to him like this.
Right.
It's the last thing you want to hear as a man. You can overlook it. It's that small.
Like, it's not even.
It's so small you won't even know it's there. You can brush it to the side.
By the way, just to add, on Deadline, it dropped an hour ago that Florence Pugh describes Thunderbolts as a badass indie A24 feeling assassin movie.
Yeah,
cool. Aren't they fighting?
Someone told her to say that.
That's her quote.
Wait a minute. Aren't they fighting the Sentry, who's basically a god?
Pretty much.
And none of them have.
And remember, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Yes, always yes. Ghostbusters, they teach us like. Skull Eater 2016 for $20. The decline with education started way before Bush. Even in the 80s, I recall the fight for new match in Ebonics. I remember Ebonics. I don't know. I was so angry at Bush for that. It's like, you need to teach kids, educate them, not fucking push.
Another Democrat insulting Push, man.
The cure, that Bush solution for national test was worse. Yeah, that cure was just.
They literally tried to push Ebonics in schools.
I remember that.
That was some wild shit.
It was crazy. I remember we used to a lot of jokes during those times.
And also math is racist.
Oh, math is racist. Milk is racist. Gingerbread. Man, you know what? I'm going to show a clip from my monologue because I haven't plugged it this time. Hold on 1 second. Just give me 2 seconds.
I have to duck out. I have to go to a meeting.
A meeting? Oh, wait. Robert, is it one of those meetings?
No. There's some friends in town that are at a film festival in Idlewild, and they're driving down to meet with me.
Oh,
we're going to go break some bread. I've never met them.
Well, good. Is it friends? Those we were talking about last Sunday?
Yeah. No, not those kind. No. No, those people don't come out to see me anymore. We're not going to drive out there. You're 90 minutes away. No.
All right. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you got coming up, and
you can find me on the Burnett Work on YouTube, and episode 8 of True Noir comes out on Friday, and we got 3 more episodes, and they're going to be boom, 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 and then we'll be all done.
Boom,
then I might have some really interesting news about True Noir.
When do we get I want to get the behind the scenes with Katie Sackhoff sex scene. I didn't hear. I want to hear the full.
Well, it's you can see me directing her over a laptop.
Cool.
But you can hear it. That's episode 3. It's a great episode. She's fantastic.
I figured there was the the raw version.
There's a little bit of that. But no, she was terrific. I love her. She's incredible to work with, and she's a really phenomenal actress, as you can hear.
As you can hear and see in one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, Longmire, right?
Longmire, absolutely.
So good.
Hell
So
yeah.
good.
Well,
all right,
all
everyone,
right, my
thanks for
friend.
having me. I'll
Have a
see
great
you
day.
guys tomorrow on Versus.
I'll see you next Sunday.
Platoon, always a pleasure. I love
Good to see
listening to
ya.
your voice.
Yeah, he'd be a great
Love
Bond
it.
villain. Great
Love it.
Bond villain.
I'll see you later.
See you later, Rob. All right, here it is. I played 20 seconds of it because I wanted everybody go check out the woke monologues. Y'all know what it is. Hashtag, then an HR meeting, a corporate policy, a federal mandate. Then suddenly I was standing in front of a bathroom sign that read, "Pick your adventure." That's when we were told that men could have periods, that women could have beards, that drag queens were the new priests, that libraries were their new temples, that Shakespeare, the Bible, and Tolkien were out, that religion was retrograde, and suburban parents had to ask their babies' consent in order to give them a hug. But schools could help transition them without any permission from anyone. That was the way of modern progressive education. Students only served the agenda. Teachers only twerked on OnlyFans. Discipline was out. Dunce caps were in. Winning wasn't taught because losing hurt too much. So all losers were winners, even if it meant every child lost the war on life. And suddenly, absentee Adderall moms were identified as perfect. Fathers of the Year were tagged as domestic terrorists. Homes were designated as death camps, and schools were labeled as safe space experiments. That's a clip from it. Everybody, if you can support it, go check it out.
Check it out.
I think did we get all of the super chats, Fletcher? Or do we have any left? Fletcher. Okay. Mark Daly for $5. I work South Jersey for hurricanes Irene and Sandy. The Palace don't want to live there. Yeah, I can't believe that they did that the mayor did that. Unbelievable. Thank you, Mark. And Mark of Reality, great to see you, my friend, for $10. Would the Jefferson Quran be illegal in the UK? It's an English version of the Quran, commissioned by President Jefferson to inform people of the contents of the Quran.
I didn't know. I know there's a Jefferson Bible. I didn't know there was a Jefferson Quran.
I did not either. Nope, that's news to me. Do you think? I don't know. What do you think, Platoon? You think that would be illegal?
It's one of those interesting ones. If you secularize the language but repeat the content, it would probably be hate speech. But if you preach from the book, it would not be, because it would be protected. But if you preach the same passage that it stole from the Bible, then it might be hate speech. But if you secularize the Bible, then it's probably none of it makes any fucking sense. But it's whatever they decide on the day, really.
Wow. I'm still Bruce for €2. Smash and pass away. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm still Bruce. And we got 3 more. Parrot Head for $5. Did you hear about the kid smothered by his 340 pounds foster mom? No, I did not. I heard about the man who was shot by the Secret Service last night outside the White House, but not that. I'll have to check it out. Thank you for that. Oliver Lavery Farage for £2. Le Voyage de la Lune is essential watching. Okay. Le Voyage. Thank you. All right. We got through everything. I think this was a great show. We covered Hollywood. We went with Matthew into acting and all the insanity, and then we got into our politics, and I think it was a really great time. So we're going to start with Verbal Riot. Tell us what's going on, my friend, and where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me tomorrow on Film Threat Versus. You can find me with George back here Wednesday at 1:30, right? Or 3:30 your time, 1:30 my time. Something like that. And yeah, actually I do have I have 2 videos that are coming out next week, so keep an eye out for those. But yeah, that's me.
What are you going to be bringing? Are you going to be talking about Daredevil?
Yeah, Daredevil and Harry Potter.
Oh,
I might actually be I might actually do a live show because I'm a friend of mine hit me up that she wanted to talk about Harry Potter with me. So I was like, okay, we might be able to do that. So Ashton Blaze, if you're out there this week.
Cool. That is
also
awesome.
Follow Ashton Blaze. She's gorgeous. Great girl.
Wonderful. I can't wait. Tell me, when are you going to go live? Do you know? Is it going to be Thursday? Hello?
Dante.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Tom.
I thought.
Most likely it'd be Thursday.
Cool.
More than likely.
All right, DA. Where can they find you? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, my channel, Derek Anderson, the DA. I'll be doing the DA's office tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So come hang out with us. And then nightcaps every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Late night. So if you're up late, you don't have much to do, come hang out, listen to us. We just talk. But it ends up being a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys come and check us out. We'll be talking on The Office tonight, probably the Thunderbolts. With this new trailer. We'll also be discussing the Daredevil. I guess they're bringing back the Defenders. I don't know if you guys saw that. The Defender crew is coming back in season 2.
Does that mean Iron Fist?
Luke Cage,
Iron Fist. Yep, those
suck.
guys. So apparently that's a thing. So we'll be talking about that. How's that going to fit back in with the MCU? And probably Snape. We're going to stay on that Snape topic because I'm a little pissed about it. So we're going to stay on that one for a little bit. But yeah, always a pleasure, George. Thanks for bringing me in, bro.
Always. Can't wait. Hope you'll be here next Sunday.
Oh, and then Versus tomorrow. I'll be on Film Threat Versus as well.
Awesome. So, Little Platoon, thank you for joining us. I always love having you here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, sorry, I got the times wrong. That's because the world needs to pick a time and stick to it. I think that all these changes.
Agree.
Fuck 'em.
I agree. Just one. I mean, we can see day, night. That's all we need. I mean, just
the British, we did invent time, so you could always just move back to hours. But yeah, as of what am I even doing? Yeah, at some point this week, I've got to get this stupid Captain America video done. That's been in production hell. That will be this week at some point. I don't know when. Just at some point. Then I think I'm on FNT on Friday, and then EFAP on Saturday, and then I will sleep after all my work is done.
Well, I can't wait till you come back here really soon. I always love having you on.
Always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And I will say this. I think they should have cast, if they're going to cast anyone for Snape, I was trying to use Grok the other day. I did Danny Trejo. As Snape.
Danny Trejo is Snape.
Big tattoo, machetes, got the hair. Tom for Midnight's Edge After Dark, Midnight's Edge Espanol, and Midnight's Edge. What else?
You already gave them all away. I don't have to say nothing.
But you're
so
supposed
watch
to
George's video. I probably will show up on Valiant stream, and I think I'm doing tier lists later. So
cool.
Hop on over to Mead later. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody, for all the supporters, everybody in the chat. You've been amazing. I think this was a really fun show. And remember, we'll be back here Wednesday, Slayer Unchained. It'll be me, Tom, Verbal. Hopefully one of these times we'll be able to get DA in to join us, and we'll have a good time, or a Little Platoon. Other than that, have a beautiful and blessed week. Remember, we're fighters with one unbreakable rule. We never bow down. We never bend the knee. Always forward. Later.